Welcome back to episode 5 of Quarantine Cast, everyone here at Beyond the Brick. My name is Joshua Hanlon, and today our guest is BrickinNick. Thank you so much for joining us for our 5th episode of Quarantine Cast. I am joined once again by my co-host, Brian Saviano. You can find him every Thursday here on the channel doing his gaming streams as well as all of his great work over at Bricks O'Brien. We also have Mike from the Cool Factor back with us as well. And our main guest this week is BrickinNick. You know him from some of his incredible builds online, his Twitch streams, all the different great work he's out there doing in the LEGO community. So thank you so much for joining us, Nick.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm so excited to be hanging out with all you beautiful people today and just enjoy some Lego fun with you guys.
Beautiful is a loose term, but thank you for the compliment.
You should just take it and not argue with it, Brian.
You know, I should. But,
by the way, guys, look how awesome we look. Like, everybody has such amazing quality. Like Joshua has like extra cool background. Like Brian, some plush toys, whatever. I have some cool stuff. And this guy.
I know. I was going to comment on Nick's that studio you got there, Nick.
Highest quality studio right there.
Actually, if you really want to get a look at the studio, I do actually have the ability to show you the full.
Whoa! Look at that.
The true professional of the live stream chat here.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
So what is the
trick? It's called virtual cam. If you ever want to set something like this up,
you should give us a quick tour of your setup there, just like the 1 minute overview of how that works for you.
So where I'm hanging out right now, this is my building space, and I want to just note I'm incredibly lucky to have such an amazing space. I honestly got to give a shout out to Mama and Papa Brick, my parents, who let me take over their basement to do this. So big shout out to them. But yeah, this is my building area. This is where I do all my live streaming and recording and stuff like that. And of course, I've just got tons of space for all my Lego to be stored and organized. In the middle here, we have an island with a bunch of Lego as well. Right now, it's actually displaying all the stuff that I recently did for my Lego Masters build challenges. I did 8 of the 10 challenges during 3-hour live streams. So that was a lot of fun as well. And then on the other side here, that's like my gaming setup. So the idea there is I actually have 2 PCs with 2 monitors each. And so the idea is that I can have someone to come over and do some Lego building with me. And then after that, if we want, we can do some gaming together side by side. So very versatile setup was the idea here to allow for lots of flexibility and lots of different stuff.
I love it. Brian, how do you rate his setup there?
It's like 100 out of 100. Like I only strive to do like, I have one extra webcam over here for like a reaction shot, maybe, but like to have the whole perspective of like the whole space and to have it not only like have the perspectives, but it's clean. Like it's always clean. It's never like I do my best. I have like a water bottle cap here. I have my wallet and a game case. There's stuff everywhere. So
now see, Brian, the trick is just show one half of the room. What you don't see is like what's just out of camera. Like,
right.
Beyond this point, it's like utter chaos. Just utter chaos. But nobody can see that. So you can't really say anything about it, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah. Why do you think I have such a narrow shot right now? Because there's a mess around me everywhere. It's cables and stuff. It's
see, that's the smart thing.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, Mike. It's the way to do it.
It's all about that framing. I noticed the giant heart there. So what is that for on your wall there, Nick?
So I as I stream on Twitch, there are subscribers on Twitch, and I wanted to find a cool way to say thank you to every single person whoever subscribes to me. So that's called our sub heart. So if you come onto our channel on Twitch and you sub, I will write your name on a brick on the color of your choice, add it on there. And then if you can continue to sub over longer periods of time, we'll keep adding little ones and it just continues to grow and grow and grow and get filled with lots and lots of love.
My name is on there. I'm a subscriber. So if you haven't gone to twitch.tv/BrickinNick, please do so. He is a very good streamer. And, you know, to do that, for anyone who subscribes is pretty cool. So I've never seen anything like it, and I'm jealous that you came up with that idea before I could. That's a really good idea.
Beat you to the punch.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just gonna add that office is goals. Like I'm in my bedroom right now, and this is goals. Like whenever I buy a big house, 1 or 2, I'm gonna tear down a wall. I swear. Like one of the rooms will be like that. Goals.
I wish I could let like all of you guys come over and hang out and use it, like, and especially during these times. Like part of the reason I did this space so I could have more guests and stuff like that. And then it was just like, oh, I guess that's not going to happen.
Well, listen, the one time me and Mike were in Toronto, you weren't there. You left the country. What happened? Last year.
Yeah.
We were in Toronto, and then you are located in the Great White North, right? So the one time we were there to actually go over and to see the studio as it was before, you were at TwitchCon. So I was like,
was I? Oh, that was
yes.
That's flame timing.
that was the one time. So
I think that is a hint at another studio tour from Beyond the Brick.
Wow.
Hey,
we got to make it up to Toronto.
We just need to bounce between all 4 of our spaces. We need to make a trip where we all go to each other's spaces, you know?
Well, the Hanlons go everywhere as it is. So you just stop, West Coast, you go East Coast, you go North, and a little bit of here and there. It's fine.
Josh, just sneak me into one of the suitcases. I'm pretty small. I'll fit.
That's right. I think you can easily get into carry-on, no problem.
Done.
Yeah, well, sometime when we can travel again, we definitely got to visit your space up there and show people around a little bit, because I think it'd make for a great tour there.
Would be happy to have you.
Awesome stuff. But I know you mentioned some of the projects you've been working on, like the Lego Masters builds are super cool. I also wanted to mention your Lego Ideas project that got 10,000 votes, which is not an easy thing to do. So big congratulations on that. That's always an impressive achievement.
Thank you so much. It was like I had dreamed of like having an idea for Lego Ideas that I felt really passionate about and would hope to get there. And the Cybertruck just kind of ended up coming out of the blue. I needed something to build for a 24-hour stream I was doing. And it was like a week after the announcement of the Cybertruck. And I was like, you know what? YOLO, let's like see if we can come up with a Cybertruck build in a single 24-hour stream. And lo and behold, we managed to come up with the build. I got the ideas project submitted the next day because I knew timing would be important. And then the support just started flooding in. And I still have a hard time believing that it actually happened. And so I think the review is going to start for May for this one. So it'll be really exciting to hopefully hear some more within the next few months.
So when you were deciding on that Cybertruck, so was it more on a whim? Because it seemed very like calculated, like, okay, I'm going to do this Cybertruck. It's going to go on ideas, a 24-hour stream. It brings people in. Like that was like perfect timing, perfect everything. So
it was like literally like 2 or 3 days before the stream. I didn't know what I was going to do. I normally do big Lego sets. I didn't like have any around that I was really excited about building at the time. And so I'd always wanted to build a Tesla for Lego Ideas, but I never really felt comfortable with the idea. And I think something about the shaping of the Cybertruck had maybe in some ways on the surface seemed a little easier or maybe more feasible for a builder like myself, who maybe does more replica stuff, but like for curvatures on cars, I didn't feel as comfortable. So this had no curves, right? So seemed like a good option. And it just ended up coming together a lot better than I think I could have hoped for, to be honest. So
how quick did that support come in? Because if I remember correctly, it seems like it was very quickly that
it was 48 days total, which is actually the exact same amount of days that the ship in a bottle took to get 10,000 supporters. So kind of cool that me and Jake had the same amount of time for our projects.
And let's hope they both end up the same as sets.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
What were some of the hardest parts for you to achieve with this build as you were working on that? Because I know there's not a lot of rounded shapes, but there are some angles in there and things that are easy to capture.
It was definitely some of those angles, especially like the front angle where the headlights are, because it has that like beam headlight that kind of cuts and angles. I must have gone through like 7 or 8 iterations of that. I was honestly extremely close to giving up on the project midway. I think especially during like when you're doing a 24-hour live stream, that's exhausting enough as it is. And to have to, face these complex challenges in the build as well really was not a great combination. So I was very, very close to giving up on it. But I ended up just picking out some other parts to work on, came back to it, managed to make it work. So I was very, very pleased and very lucky that I managed to figure it out. And then I would say like a big part of the inspiration for this whole thing actually ended up being just the frame of the black trim along the bottom and over the wheels. I was just like, like some cheese slopes and some hinge plates would work great for the shaping. And that's kind of what has been the first thing I built. And I kind of just based the rest around that. So other than some of those angles, that part was kind of laid out and worked out pretty well right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to finish it because you're definitely right. Those 24-hour streams are difficult. How often do you do a 24-hour stream?
I consistently do one a year, maybe with an extra one or two. So last year I ended up doing 3 total.
Yeah, that's a lot. We just do the one every year for Creations for Charity, and that's good for me. I'm set.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's usually the charity events that'll push me to do more. So that's the only reason I'm willing to make exceptions to the 1 per year rule.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I know we. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I just wanted to ask Nick, like, how big of a Tesla fan it is, because I've been vouching for LEGO to pick up Tesla as a license in the future, like, and SpaceX at the same time, like, make Falcon 9s, Falcon Heavies, you know, Teslas from S to Y. How big of a fan you are? Like, do you think that Cybertruck will be that breaking point for LEGO to actually pick up the license and finally make it happen? And have like my dream is to have a creator expert Tesla car.
Yeah, I would definitely hope that this ends up being a path for them to work together on some more stuff in the future. I've been a Tesla fan for a very long time. I'm pretty sure I first discovered them in like 2007 or 2008, right around when they had first launched the Roadster. And then seeing what they were doing with the Model S and stuff, bringing like an electric vehicle to the mass market was really exciting to me because I always loved the idea of an electric car. The fact that you can drive something that's not polluting the planet, I thought that was a big win and can be powered by the sun in ways, you know, if you have solar at home and you have a battery, that kind of ecosystem, I love the idea behind that. And I definitely think it pairs really well with LEGO's goal of sustainability. That's something I mentioned in the project page. So I'm really hoping this will lead to some really cool things with Tesla and LEGO.
It should. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thank you.
So the closer that you subscribe on twitch.tv/BrickinNick, the closer Nick can get an actual Tesla for himself. So get to it.
This is like a very kind of weird thing to mention, but during that 24-hour stream, I was coming up with goals just to have to keep us motivated, keep us going. And we like my community was being incredibly kind, kept smashing all these goals. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to come up with some insane like goal for them to hit that they'll never touch. But if they do, I'll put a deposit on a Cybertruck. And I want to know it's fully refundable. I have no idea if I'll ever be able to get my hands on one. But lo and behold, they went absolutely insane, smashed the goal, and I do have a deposit on a Tesla Cybertruck now. So
wow.
That's amazing.
It would be good for moving the Lego around. I mean, it's got lots.
I know who to visit to try one, to like drive it for like a few moments.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I won't deny I've thought, you know, if the project does work out, how cool would it be to get a wrap made for the car that looks like the Lego set, so I can literally drive around in my Lego Cybertruck.
See, now you're thinking the business side of it, not that, you know, that's promotion right there.
Maybe a little thing on the back, BrickinNick, you know, fan designer for Lego Cybertruck.
That is amazing because I think the only way to change the color of that truck is to wrap it. I don't think they will offer, because of the way it's manufactured. I don't think you're going to be able to paint the car. Actually, you will have to wrap it if you want to customize it. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's some next level ideas project thinking right there.
I mean, hey, it's all about getting creative, right? So why not? Why not take it that next level?
Related to ideas, though, I wanted to ask you, so I know we always have a lot of people who watch who might have ideas for their own projects on LEGO Ideas, or always looking for tips. So what are some things you learned with this project? I know you also have your Winnie the Pooh project that I believe is still out there.
It is still out there,
to vote on. So you've also got this active project that people can still vote on this as well. So what have you learned kind of in these processes, or any tips you might give to other people?
Yeah, I would definitely say finding a project that you're passionate about goes a long way. I think, like, as much as I love the Winnie the Pooh and Tigger build, and, you know, I grew up watching Winnie the Pooh, I definitely loved it, but I'm not like some, you know, crazed fan like I would say I might be about Tesla. And I definitely think when you work on a project that you're really passionate about and really invested in, people can definitely see it and feel it in the build. And I think that helps translate to people supporting the project. So I would definitely recommend finding something that you're really enthusiastic about when it comes to what you're building and putting up as a project. And then, you know, simple things, presentation obviously goes a long way. So make sure you take some nice, clean photos. If you need to work with rendering, there's no problem with that. The rendering software these days out there, you know, whether it's with Studio or Mecha Bricks, are really, really great for allowing you to, you go beyond what you might be able to with your physical collection. Most of the pictures for Winnie the Pooh and Tigger are real, but the last one that's showing right now actually is a render because I didn't have the parts to properly show how I wanted some of the elements on the back of the bills. So yeah, just making use of what you have available to you, but making sure your pictures are clean, simple. And then I think like just finding little elements that make you unique. Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, I think, is something a lot of people have built, but I don't know if a lot of people had built Tigger in a way that he could actually balance and be bouncing on his tail per se. So I think that's kind of something that helped draw in some attention to the project, is just having a unique element to it. With the Cybertruck, I wanted to make sure it had a lot of functions, and I added a lot throughout the project's history as well. So in a sense, even maybe creating incentive for people to support so they could see what you might come up with. Because I think I did like 3 or 4 goals throughout the course of the Cybertruck project, where it was like, if we get 2,500 supporters, I'll add opening doors. At 5,000, I'll do the ATV. At 7,500, I added in the Elon Musk minifigures. So just finding different ways to continue to incentivize people to support the project and share it can definitely go a long way too.
Because you can... Oh, go ahead, Brian.
No, so I was going to say you put 2 things on LEGO Ideas, and one of them got 10,000. So when you're creating the Cybertruck or Winnie the Pooh, when are you satisfied with what you've built and are comfortable putting it on Ideas? Because it doesn't need to be like the complete model, what it might be as a product.
Yeah.
I feel like it can be like the gist, and you can post it up there. So like, when are you satisfied with the build that you can put it on there?
So these 2 builds, I would definitely say I treated very differently. Winnie the Pooh kind of came together very slowly over a long period of time. I built Tigger like I think in the middle of last year, or no, actually the middle of 2018. Sorry, people had really loved the Tigger, and then it ended up being actually at Brickworld in Chicago that Tigger won an award. It was my first Brickworld award I'd been attending for 7 years, and I was like, man, people really, really love this Tigger. Maybe this is a sign that I should invest a little bit more into this project and turn it into my first Ideas project, because I think these are iconic characters and a lot of people would have a lot of fun building them. So I spent a couple weeks working on Winnie the Pooh, the scenery. And then, I worked on building my, kind of presentation for it, the description and everything like that. So the Winnie the Pooh and Tigger project actually came together over quite a while. Whereas the Cybertruck, I literally spent a day after I did my 24-hour live stream, went to sleep. I think I had work the next day. So I went to work and then I came home. And for the rest of that day, I was just all in on getting that Cybertruck project up. And that's because the timing was so important.
Right.
The announcement had just happened like a week before. And I was like, if I can get this in really quickly after this big announcement, and there was still lots of interest and discussion online about the Cybertruck, I knew timing was going to be important. So admittedly, I kind of threw a lot of caution out the window, and I just tried to do the best that I could with the very limited time I had to get it up there as quickly as possible.
Cool.
There's a lot to be said for getting in on that hype around something with an Ideas project. I think you saw that even going way back to the days of Kuso with the Minecraft set, things like that. They just really there's a lot of hype around something that helps a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. So if I would, throw out ideas like if a video game that you really love is getting released. I know Animal Crossing, there's been a couple cool projects that have popped up around that and have been doing pretty well. So just finding something that you're excited about and timing it well with maybe a big release, a big announcement, that can definitely go a long way to helping your project get there.
Yeah, I think you're touching some great points here. Like relevancy is like in every type of LEGO or like just YouTube channel is very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you drop stuff when things happen. People try to be fastest with the news and stuff like that. But like I think it's also important to, as you said, like there's a big event coming, a big drop of something. If you have some content on it, drop it. It doesn't have to be a video. It can be like in your case, a LEGO project that just gained a lot of support because of the hype behind that vehicle. Yeah. And I was one of the being hyped. So I saw your project like right after. I know you dropped it super fast after the announcement, and when there was a lot of controversy of the looks of the truck and everything, and that was a perfect timing, I would say, for you to do it.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad to have early supporters like you in there. So thank you.
Since we're on the topic of ideas, I saw an interesting article on the Brick Fan the other day that I thought I'd get you guys' take on. So he was writing about how there's so many projects that reach the 10,000 votes now. So is it time for there to be some kind of change in the way that the platform works in terms of LEGO, either making more of the sets that reach 10,000 votes or raising that bar to have to get more than 10,000 votes, because at this point there's the latest review, I forget how many sets there are exactly, but it's a lot. So Nick, is that something you've given much thought to now that you've kind of obviously you've got a vested interest in this project becoming a set, which would be amazing, but what did you, I don't know if you had a chance to see that article or not, or what you thought about that?
I didn't see the article, but I definitely noticed that, especially, I think the previous review period maybe had like 13 projects, which was a ton. And I've certainly noticed that a lot have continued to fall in within the review period that the Cybertruck's going to be falling into. And I'm not going to lie, it's quite nerve-wracking. Had there only been maybe 5 or 6 projects, I think I would have been able to say with a lot more confidence, like, yeah, we got a really good shot at this. But with how many amazing projects are starting to populate within the 10,000 supporter mark, I definitely think it would make sense for there to be some change, like you said, or like the article mentioned, whether it's them producing more sets or increasing the threshold. I do think that would be quite a fair thing to do. I'm not going to lie, I would be very confident that the Cybertruck would easily have hit a higher milestone should one existed. I actually still have people reaching out randomly, being like, hey, can I still support this? So I do think maybe the platform has grown enough now that they could scale it up a little bit if they did want to keep how many sets they make more limited. But I do think it'd obviously be amazing for more fans like myself out there to have more projects become sets. And I think obviously a lot of people out there would be excited to be able to get their hands on, because I definitely think every review period, there are a lot of people who are crushed to see, only 1 and 2 projects, maybe out of 10 amazing ones get through, right? So I don't know if you guys would say you feel pretty similar.
What do you think, Brian?
So I believe with LEGO Ideas personally that like a lot of the ideas on there vary from being like a feasible product versus a very intricate large scale mock. So I've seen a lot of, something's 10,000 pieces and it's like, okay, that's a very cool mock and it's on LEGO Ideas. Obviously LEGO could scale that down and make it its own thing, but like, does that still have the selling point of the set? Is it designed to be that big of a model? So if I look on LEGO Ideas, there's still solid ideas on there that could, totally be a product. I mean, I think the Cybertruck is one, not even biased to me liking, what you do, Nick. Like, it actually makes sense as a LEGO product. So I think that with all the sets that get 10,000 votes, it makes sense that they're still going to weed out some of the ones that aren't going to be a feasible product versus, it's like a fan creation. And like, it just depends what the licensing is. Is it viable with, public awareness? Is it something that's going to sell? So I think a good idea is still going to shine as a good idea, whether or not you raise the threshold or not. But I would love to see more idea sets in general. A lot of the idea sets that I wanted to happen have not happened. And it's like, well, obviously I want more of that. So I say that even if you raise the threshold, it's still going to, like those, if they raise the threshold, they're also going to raise the amount of time it takes to get to those amount of votes. So it's really kind of prolonging the process, I think. And there's so many good ideas that they could just make more sets, which seems like a very simple answer to a complicated process. But, there's a lot of good ideas on there, and they clearly are selling very well if they're having like the Treehouse and Central Perk, and then, who knows what comes next. So I would say just make more sets. And like Pirates of Barracuda Bay, combining, the actual set with the classic LEGO set itself, like that's stellar. Like more things like that. Yeah. So cool.
I agree. I think fans would definitely love to see more of the designs turned into sets. Joseph Zawada had a good question in the chat. He was wondering if they limit the numbers of sets produced each review period. And as far as I'm aware, there is no like set line. Nick, I don't know if you're aware of anything. I think they can kind of work with whatever the designs they want to in terms of how many sets they produce.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think there is no limit as well. I do think, like Brian mentioned, there are a lot of logistical reasons that they probably don't make 6 or 7 new sets every review period, because that would be, I think, like from what I remember, actually maybe in my LEGO retail days, because I used to work for the LEGO store back in the day. LEGO does have a limit on how many sets they can produce overall in like a year, I believe, and I'm sure that's for lots of good reasons, whether it's financial, production, whatever it might be. So that might play a part, because arguably if they make a lot more LEGO Ideas sets, that might be cutting away from some of their other themes. But I do think, especially if fans continue to show a lot of support for these projects, why not take the opportunity to get these sets out to the fans who are really, really hoping to buy them?
And some of these are already potentially in development. Like, so we were actually talking about this before the stream. Like, what are the logistics of if someone contributes an idea that, LEGO already has a license for? So obviously the Legend of Zelda Hyrule Castle at 9,556 supporters, obviously people want it to be a thing, but when that set was first put on Ideas, we didn't know Nintendo and LEGO was going to be a thing. And that similar thing happened with, I believe, the Helicarrier way back when, where it got 10,000 votes and then magically it became a set. So an official set from LEGO, not LEGO Ideas. So who's to say that some of these things on here or some of the things that have already been denied aren't going to be sets eventually? So how do you deal with that? Where do you put those sets in the themes? And that's a whole other dimension to it too that people might not factor in. Like, this castle could happen, just not under Ideas, who knows?
That's a good point. And I think that then you also have that controversy around, like, if there was something that was on Ideas and then they turn it into a set later, and then people start saying, oh, did LEGO take some fan design and not give them credit and just kind of make it on their own and not do it through the Ideas platform? So that kind of creates a whole different problem there as well, that I think has come up a couple different times with various projects now.
What do you think, Mike?
That is a good point. I saw that article a few days ago. By the way, high five and brofist to a fellow LEGO store brick specialist. I didn't know you were you were working there. That's awesome. I've been working in LEGO store for 3 years. But all that aside, I think there was an idea of the threshold to be raised to like 15,000 votes to get support to actually move to the review stage. I think that's a good idea. I noticed that a lot of the projects were approved. Like, I think right now as we speak, we have the biggest wave of approved projects for LEGO to go through ever. And I think that's creating a burden for LEGO to actually pick and choose, 1-2 sets. And I think they increased the number of produced sets. So we have like scheduled sets up until next year, I think, at this point. So I think increasing the threshold to make sure like all of these sets are great, but what if we increase that threshold to 15,000 or 20,000 votes and choose like the best of the best, like the top de la cream, the top of the top in that matter? I really love how Ideas is evolving. We keep breaking records on the biggest sets, like the Barracuda Bay. Actually, funny enough, I'm just in the process of building one for my channel.
I have mine up there.
It's right here, so I'm probably going to be streaming later, but looking at these sets and at the Ideas Saturn V I'm looking at behind the camera right now, and all the amazing things that LEGO Ideas has done so far, for many, including myself, it became one of the most the favorite theme in LEGO by far, even surpassing things like Star Wars and stuff like that. So if we can get a way to get even better projects to be approved and to the shelves, it's only gonna benefit itself. I'm afraid that LEGO may stop having capacity of putting out all the projects that people really, really want, because every wave, people keep complaining that, oh, I love this set, but this one was not approved. Like, what do we do about this? Well, if the project was really that good, I think just make people vote more and increase that number, and then LEGO will actually see, oh, okay, so this project is really worth it, right? So I think that might be a good change, actually.
Right. There's a comment in the chat here that pointed out there. I think there's one project that's 85 votes away from getting the 10,000. And then they make 23 sets in this next review, which is just a tremendous amount in one review period. So I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. If they're going to get to 10,000 votes, though, that clearly means people want to buy them. So LEGO obviously has a limit on how many sets they want to make for a year, but they also want to make money. So who's to say that they couldn't change something internally that we don't know about, that they could expedite some of these processes for the LEGO Ideas sets? And who's to say, like I mentioned before, some of these might already be in development that we don't even know about. So I wholeheartedly agree that like LEGO Ideas is one of the best LEGO lines, because it can really be anything. It's not restricted to just one theme or one idea, pun intended, I guess. It can be anything that fans come up with. So there's so many possibilities there and so much diversity in builds and in styles and everything. I can only hope for more.
Well, we'll see what happens. Sadly, none of us are allowed to make those changes, so we'll see what the Ideas platform and the people behind it continue to roll out in the future. But I think they have done a great job building that up and giving fans lots of opportunities. And definitely, Nick, we'd love to see your idea as a set in the future. So I hope that works out for you.
I do have a request. Can you please show that truck closer to the camera? Can you please?
I guess I mean it's so Mike. It's so far. I mean, I have to like take like 3 steps.
Bring it over. I've been eyeing this ever since we started.
But I do have it right here. I don't think I got this door to close properly. I'm not gonna lie. Lego has a lot of work to do if they do decide to go ahead with this, because some of the elements of this, guys, I was not able to figure out. I'm not a Lego designer. I'm a fan designer, and I definitely use my fan-related techniques. But I do have, I think, some cool functions on there. We obviously got the hood in there, so you can store your stuff in the front. I've got a removable tonneau cover. I wish they made a larger garage door piece, because maybe something could have worked with that. And then the best solution I had come up with for how to emulate the function of the fold-out ramp for the thing was to have it kind of fold out like so. Ooh. And then this is removable when the ATV is in there. So I'm sure Lego will be able to get a little bit more creative than I do. But I still managed to work in some cool things. I have like a little underbed, storage compartment. The wheels, of course, spin. And I definitely think this would be a very suitable model for releasing it as a static model, but having the option for it to be upgraded with some power up or power functions or whatever Lego's current system is for powering stuff. And obviously, it'll be very fitting an electric vehicle. Lego system is electric, so would definitely be really, really cool for that to be the case.
What's the most illegal aspect of that build?
I think the way the doors work is really like sketchy. I mean, it's all legal building techniques, but the way they like interfere with each other is totally like incorrect. Like you can see, like I can't just smoothly close the door because it collides. Right. And then the middle door, like the front door has to be open for the back door to open. And that's on some really janky connections there. I think it's like just a clip attached to a bar that I managed to wedge in there. So I did what I needed to kind of make it work. So at least you could get an idea. And then hopefully Lego should, things happen with it.
Yeah. Luckily, that's not your responsibility to figure out if that becomes an actual set. So.
Yeah, that's their problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I think because the Cybertruck keeps evolving, like Elon is adding features to it or changing the shaping. And I think they have even like that one picture when it looks like a camper van. It has a tent in the back. I think you should have it as a module in the final set. If it gets, I really hope this is the idea, the project that will start actually make Lego pick up the Tesla license. I think Elon actually is a Lego fan. So
I would
amazing.
He would be.
He's a super nerdy, cool guy, being a billionaire on top of all that. Yeah. But I think it would be amazing for this to spark the flame in Elon to actually get a Lego license. I think that would be amazing.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Stuart Harris in the chat says it needs a broken window print.
You know what? He's not the only one. I'm sure you guys can imagine. I've heard that one a couple of times here and there. I will throw out there, though, Lego, most of their vehicle sets do not have side windows. So I'm kind of embodying the Lego spirit or the Lego Creator Expert spirit. Because if you look at the Fiat, if you look at the Mustang, I'm pretty sure almost none of those, especially the passenger doors, do not have side mirrors or side windows. And then I would also just throw that out there. I don't know how you would integrate a window in this unangled area. If you can figure it out, I will gladly throw a sticker on it.
Oh, look who is it.
But until such time.
Yes, but like you said, that's what they pay the big kroner over in Denmark to the designers.
Exactly. Not my problem.
I like it.
They're not worth any more than the regular kroner. They're just bigger.
Touch on some of your other projects as well, though, Nick, because you've been doing a lot of cool stuff here. So beyond just the Ideas platform, and you mentioned your Lego Masters builds earlier, which works well because we actually had Boone who just joined us here. So very good timing.
Is this the Boone?
Is it Boone? BrickinNick?
Oh,
can you guys hear me?
You stop that.
Yeah.
Low, but.
Did you say not very well?
It's a little low, but besides that,
it's a bit low. You can bump up your. I had the same problem. So
I'm gonna switch my mic, and then I can pull this. Then I can pull this thing out from in front of my face. What do I want?
There we go. Let's try that.
Oh,
how's that? How's that? Is that better?
Now we can hear you.
Is that better? Okay, cool.
So yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Nick. Nick, good to see you, man. How you doing?
Can never interrupt me. I mean, I'll be interrupted by a LEGO Masters competitor any day, gladly, any day. Especially one of your caliber, sir.
Dude, your builds, your like 3-hour builds are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think my favorite is probably the roller coaster Ferris wheel. That was brilliant.
I was very, very proud of myself. So, like Boone's mentioned here, I decided at leading up to the finale of the show, kind of, and the Beyond the Brick guys, of course, ready to go as always. I decided to tackle as many of the LEGO Masters challenge I could within it was like a 2-week period that I had. So I managed to do 8 of the 10 challenges. I picked a time limit for myself that would be a lot more reasonable, 3 hours. I was working by myself as well. But I just wanted to see, in the spirit of the competition, in the moment, what could I come up with and how well could I do with these challenges? And I actually had my viewers on Twitch decide a lot of this. So for Dream Park Theme Park, I said, guys, what would be some cool ideas for a Dream Park theme park? So for that, they ended up coming with a dragon Ferris wheel was what they all voted on. So I did my best to embody that with this build. And I had been keeping the roller coaster pieces aside in case they decided on some sort of roller coaster. But I ended up noticing immediately, the round shape of the tracks would be a really great frame for the Ferris wheel. And frankly, saved me a lot of time from having to build one out of Technic. So it ended up working out really, really well. It's the first time I'd ever built a Ferris wheel. So I was really, really glad I got it to work. And then just had some fun with some of the other details, some different castle minifigures, some different, inspiration from some different themes of architecture for their little things. And then, of course, just getting the cute little dragon hanging in the middle at the gate. And of course, can't have a theme park without a pretzel stand. So we got that in there, too.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I love it. Hey, can I ask you some questions about it?
Please.
So basically, if you think of, I sort of think of the 2 round, loops of roller coaster track as like an Oreo cookie.
Yeah. Right.
And in the middle of that Oreo cookie, you've got the underside, the plates with the underside Technic pin.
I think actually, if I'm remembering correctly, it's actually not super securely connected, the 2 layers. I think originally I was using the modified bricks that are often in the brick heads. So I had 2 of these in the middle just facing outwards.
Oh, yeah.
Connected together. But what it ended up doing, and it's definitely a lot sketchier, but it was what I needed to make the dragon hanging loosely so he would be always facing outwards. I have a half Technic pin and a rod going through a Technic brick. So the dragon loosely hangs. He's got Technic bricks in him, and the rod just goes through him. So he's just kind of bouncing in between the middle there. So the 2 layers are actually connected extremely sketchily.
Well, and the dragon spinning, by the way, is perfect because anybody could have built it with the dragon stationary, but the fact that, basically the dragon is remaining stationary while the wheel spins around it. I'm saying anyone could have built it in a way that the dragon moves with the wheel, but the fact that he just sort of hangs in there and swings is so cool. But out at the edges where the cars are, where the people ride around in, is that acting in any way to hold those outer pieces together, or is it really?
No, it definitely helps as well. And admittedly, there is a little bit of maybe too much friction on some of the carts. You'll see this one, for example, doesn't really swing very well. But it is that they're on just a 2x4 plate, and then I'm using the Technic 1x2s with the 2 Technic beams sticking out of it, and then I'm using the 2x2 plates with the Technic pin in the middle underneath to kind of have a whole connection. There.
It's so cool. My intention with those questions was not to ask you to highlight.
Oh, I have the build here, so why not, right?
I didn't intend for you to highlight, where it's got friction and what the shortcomings are. I just think it's beautiful.
Oh, no, I like showing the shortcomings because, I feel like and honestly, it was a big wake up call for me all throughout taking on these challenges. Just how often the time, was man, I really wish I could have done X, Y, Z. Had I, planned ahead a little better, maybe. Honestly, even on the Ferris wheel, like you'll see I had grass at the back, but then towards the middle and the front, it basically stopped. And that's just because I ran out of time to add more details to it. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine how intense that would have felt in this scenario of literally being on a studio set and knowing that millions of people were going to be watching, like having the weight of that. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
I'm just saying, casting for season 2 just started. Wink, wink.
Oh, I'm keeping an eye out on that. Don't worry.
Wink, wink. Wink, wink.
And we just had Vision join as well here, so
Hey,
shout
guys.
out to Vision.
Hey, Vision.
Been a
Hello.
loyal moderator and contributor here, in our live stream. So we always appreciate you helping keep everybody in line in the chat there, Vision.
No problem. I appreciate it.
So
how have you guys been doing today?
we've been doing great. We're just launching into Nick's Lego Masters builds here, approaching each challenge. One of my favorite of them, Nick, was your cut in half controller
Yeah, that's my
build.
favorite.
Yeah. So Brian, what was your take on that?
I mean, I'm totally biased. It's the only gripe, I guess, would be that it's not a first-party controller, but I understand you not wanting to
Brian, you would want to damage a first-party controller?
listen, no, but, I understand, but you still did very well with the controller design overall. I love that you have the different video game themes there. So you have, obviously, racing, and then Skyrim-esque, and
Pretty
then
much Skyrim-esque. I won't deny.
yeah, and then what would you say that last one is with the space? Is that more like Overwatch?
Sci-fi platformer. I was kind of going
Sure.
for.
Sure.
So it was supposed to have some elements of with Mario with a floating block with an objective on top of it. And admittedly, that last part came together within 10 minutes. So it was literally how can I just get some sort of theme across in this short span of time? That's how I ended up with a laser scorpion, which frankly is really lame. But
I could absolutely see that in an art gallery, in a shadow box. It looks awesome.
way too kind.
So,
Yeah, I think it's what you captured there in the spirit of the cut in half challenge is just really beautiful. I mean, I feel like in LEGO Masters, it was almost like it's people sort of interpret it as, do we build the other half of the thing and how do we do that in a creative way, or we just completely don't build the other half of the thing and we make it something completely different. And there were sort of I think benefits to going either direction, but you've done both in that you've recreated the other half of, I don't know. I would think that a video game controller is a fairly complicated, that particular style of controller is a fairly complicated shape to replicate.
Especially in purple.
Right. Plus, you've added sort of this whole thing breaking out of the top that explains the story. I'll say I've said it before, and I've said it in comments on Instagram or whatever. But I was impressed with every single one of your challenge builds there.
Thank you so much, Boone. You guys are actually being way too nice. I'm low key getting a little emotional here.
No, hey, listen. Oh, sorry, Boone. Go ahead.
No, I was probably gonna say something similar to what you were gonna say. I was just gonna say it's I don't know. Here's the thing. The thing I've discovered through all of this is we're all awesome and we're all just people, and some of us get the weird opportunity to do it in front of huge audiences. And I know that you're doing, what you do for your audiences, Nick, is really impressive, and what you're able to accomplish in your studio there is impressive. And so, no, I appreciate getting to be on camera with you just as much as vice versa,
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say though, having gotten to see most of the show played a huge part in the inspiration. Getting to see your experiences on the show definitely helped shape how I tackled these challenges. And I will say I got to give a particular shout out to, I believe it was actually a build from the LEGO Masters Australia that had definitely played a part in inspiring this, where I think they had a cello And so that team had chosen to build out the other half of the cello, but also build out this crazy, like, I would say like Android character that was playing it. And so that had kind of played a big part in inspiring my idea. And it's like you said, there are tons of people out there who are doing tons of amazing stuff. And some people are luckier than others in getting to showcase that in a sense. But I know there are literally hundreds of thousands of us out there, enjoying Lego in our own ways and just sharing it to their best ability. And I hope Lego Masters continues to grow and evolve so that more and more people get to have their chance in the spotlight and be able to show their amazing stuff to the world.
Yeah, I do think that was actually that cello build was the team that won Australia, wasn't it?
Cool.
I could be wrong about that, but I think it was what it was. Cade and Henry.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Don't sue me if I'm wrong.
The benefit to watching you on Twitch as opposed to like Lego Masters is that people can also interact with you live in the chat and all that. So to see people, talking to you, like I usually pop in and I just talk about nonsense. I'm like, oh, how you doing? And you're like, shut up, Brian, I'm building. And you go at it. But like people maybe toss an idea in there or do something, to just kind of, see what you're up to and have that interactivity is very important to Twitch. And you do a good job of interacting with the chat, and if somebody suggests something, whether it throws you entirely off or it enhances the build, it just adds to the whole experience. So you do a good job with that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and I will say the split, like someone had mentioned a game, like I had the game control hand off, I was like, I don't exactly know what to do. And someone was like, what if it was cracking like an egg? And then it just sparked from there. So that, again, Twitch chat came in and managed to be a huge part of the inspiration for how this pretty awesome build managed to come to life.
It's either a huge part or a big detractor, depending on the day, I feel like.
And honestly, there were definitely moments where I was like, guys, what do you want? What am I going to do with this? Like, admittedly, ending up with like, it was for the week 9 challenge, week 8, good versus evil. Having a baker be the evil character, I was like, how do you make a baker evil, right? So
I remember you working on Koholint Island from Link's Awakening, and you spent like an hour trying to figure out how to do the palm trees with the coconuts.
Oh gosh,
let's brainstorm here. I stopped what I was doing. I'm like, all right, now how would I do this, even though I'm not good at building? Okay, maybe try this. And it was a whole like brainstorming session. It was cool.
Yeah, it can get intense sometimes for sure.
Yeah,
those things
totally.
happen.
How did you decide, Nick, on which Star Wars build did you pick for the Star Wars challenge? Because I know with Star Wars, there's obviously so many different scenes to choose from, and even on the Lego Masters show itself, that was a big thing on which scene to choose from. So how did that play into your decision?
Yeah, so I went back and watched the episode. I took note of the 10 that they had available. I took the remaining 7, and then I picked my 3 favorite, or the ones that I thought would be the most fun. And then I let Twitch chat vote on those and decide which build would be the one that I brought to life, and the Death Star Trench Run ended up being that. Totally. That makes sense. It's such an iconic thing, and it's something that people have. The Death Star Trench Runs are always an interesting thing to see built in Lego because people can, due to the greebling and the level of detail and everything, people can approach this in a lot of different ways. So there's various scales and types of depictions we've seen of this over the years. So, and I think yours, fits in very nicely with a lot of those great builds that we've seen of the Trench Run, especially the sense of action you get here, even with like the jagged edges of the build, to give the idea that, there's more outside of just the section you built. Yeah. Funnily enough, with this one, it's not something I think a lot of people would guess when they look at the build, but I'm actually quite disappointed in my build here. If you had been in the stream, you would have known that I actually spent about an hour working on trying to have the long portion of the X-Wing be sloped inward like the actual X-Wing is. So I was playing a lot with hinge plates, and I ended up literally having to bail on the idea. So I ended up wasting a ton of time on an element of the build I didn't even end up using. And again, it was just another moment where I appreciated, like, man, like I can only imagine the pressure you would have felt knowing how much was on the line with Lego Masters. And just how probably like a lot of the times we maybe even didn't necessarily get to see some of the builders' disappointment in having that happen. I mean, I think obviously an excellent and I'm so sorry, Brune, to bring up the bad memory, but we all got to see what that really felt like in the first episode of Lego Masters. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, please be aware. But the roller coaster function that you guys had worked so hard on and was so incredible and creative, just failing because I would imagine had you been given maybe another 15, 20, 30 minutes, you probably could have done a little bit of reinforcement and not ran into the problem that ended up happening with that, right? So just being really appreciative of how intense that time limit can really, really be.
Yeah, it just, it feels like you don't want to waste. Like, even in that moment where you're having to decide, like, is this, I know there's a problem here, and you reach that point with your X-Wing, and we reached that point over and over again through the challenges. It's like, okay, I've put an hour into this, or I've put 2 hours into this, and I know there's a problem, and I've either got to figure out how to fix it ASAP, or I have to move on. And that idea of the fact that perhaps you wasted 2 hours, or 1 hour, or even 30 minutes, right? Whatever, it's daunting. And anyway, you've definitely hinted at your experience with it there. It's crazy, but I don't know what else to say about it. But I think that this might be my second favorite of all yours. And if I wasn't watching your stream when you built it, so I wasn't aware that it didn't go the way you had planned. But I feel like I like it almost even more knowing that you essentially did it in 2 hours and not 3. Because I just, for the scale of it to achieve what you did there, I think it's great.
Thank you, dude. Means a lot. Means a lot. Very kind of you, sir.
So
I
love that.
I will say this is still within my top 3 of the LEGO Masters builds that I did. I really love having the opportunity to have what I always think of it as bleeding. So like, I think a lot of builds, when you see them and they come together, you end up with these rigid edges at some point with the builds. It would have been very easy to have, a very rectangular looking build with straight edges. But I definitely think, the bleed effect or the transition effect maybe really lends to the speed, the motion that you kind of get from the build, and just lets the imagination kind of wander off rather than being just sharply cut off. So I think it's a really fun thing to take advantage of. It's something I've definitely used multiple times in a lot of my builds, and I definitely just think it adds to the building a little bit more visually interesting and engaging.
Have you done you've done all the challenges now, right? So everybody, so if you go to is your Instagram the best place to kind of check out, like,
yeah, Instagram's got the best pictures and the majority of the pictures. So
okay, yeah, and I think producer John has been doing a good job here of sharing the photos.
Indeed. Thank you. Shout out to John. Like, woo!
Exactly, yeah, always behind the scenes keeping things going. So he's the real brains behind the operation here. But if you want to check out the up close photos of all of these builds, the LEGO Masters builds, as well as everything else that Nick has been building, definitely go over to his Instagram and check those out there. And another build that I wanted to talk to you about is your Tensegrity build, because this is a trend that's been really amazing. Some really super creative builds have come out of the LEGO community recently with these Tensegrity builds. And we actually just collabed with a LEGO physics teacher who uses LEGO to explain physics on his YouTube channel, and just posted a video from him today where he explains kind of how these Tensegrity builds work, because so awesome. We had done a compilation of a bunch of them, and we got a ton of comments saying, like, how is this possible? Like, what is going on here? So if people were wondering that, if you've seen these builds and you wonder, like, how exactly does this work, make sure to check out that video, because he did a really great job explaining kind of the math behind it and exactly how this all stays together. But with that said, Nick, your build was really great here. So take us through your approach to this challenge.
For sure. I had, I literally like seen the trend. I thought everyone was doing was really, really cool, but I hadn't really had an idea strike me right away as to, like, if I wanted to do my own take on it, what would it look like? And then I don't even know, like, where the idea popped into my head, but I was like, oh my gosh, floating rocks. That would be like, I've loved building floating rocks in the past, but most of my floating rocks MOCs just use transparent pieces underneath to have them floating. And so seeing this Tensegrity concept, it just lended itself really, really well to the idea. And so I just, like, dropped everything and I went at it for like 6 hours to make this happen. And then, of course, I did want to try and like take it to the next level by doing the double up on it. So, you know, I had to spend really a ton of time just really, you know, finicking or finagling, however you might want to say it, with that second layer. And honestly, it still didn't really end up where I wanted it. I wanted to have both layers either perfectly level or both layers angled. And unfortunately, it ended up being that the middle rock is at an angle and the upper one's kind of straight. But I still think it looked pretty cool. And I was kind of at my limits with getting it to balance. I have it sitting on my desk in front of me right now, but I can't keep the second layer there because like the slightest breath or shake or vibration, and it'll definitely just collapse.
That is absolutely amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
I just wanna say like I gotta hop off the stream real quick, so just wanted to say thank you, Nick, for being here. I'm gonna try maybe to join later, but awesome stuff. Good luck with the Cybertruck.
Thank you.
Tensegrity, one of my I've seen Beyond the Bricks video on those builds, and I think yours is on the top 3 for me.
Much
for
appreciated.
sure. Yeah, so stay tuned for more stuff from BrickinNick. Make sure to subscribe to him on Twitch and follow him on Twitch. Amazing LEGO streamer, and I'm gonna be back later. So you guys have an amazing rest of the stream.
Talk to you later, Mike.
Take it easy, Mike. Thank you.
Peace out,
you,
guys.
Mike.
Thanks.
See you,
Nick,
Mike. Thanks.
I definitely did appreciate, Nick, the fact that you went double high with that. So basically two Tensegrity sculptures in one with this.
Yeah. It was a challenge. I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot like that, and that was a frustrating day working on that build. But I was definitely very, very happy I managed to get it to work. Although I'm still mad I didn't have one more dark gray chain because I feel like the light gray chain looks very out of place, but you just got to work with what you got sometimes.
I also want to give a shout out to Uber Maddie in the chat who said they went over and followed you on Instagram, Nick. So thank you so much for doing that.
And honestly, I haven't said it enough, but there's been so many kind comments in the chat today. So just thank you to every single person who has said something kind and been excited about a build or whatever. So just you guys just keep being amazing out there. Obviously, the Beyond the Bricks community has the most amazing people in it. So shout out to all of you for continuing to support these guys so we can do fun stuff like this, right?
That's right. You know, our goal with having, you know, various people, whether it's on this stream or the Idea Spotlight, whatever it is to get cool builders and builds out there. So if you see somebody you like or a build that you like, definitely go check them out online. We always encourage people to do that because you can support their work. You can vote for an Ideas project. You can follow them on social media, whatever it might be. And that is always a big help to all of the builders and LEGO fans trying to get their stuff out there for people. So make sure you all do that and check Nick as well as everyone else out who's on the stream today here. But speaking of all the stuff that you know you guys are putting out there, I wanted to chat with you, Nick, because I talked about this with Brian a little bit as well, kind of about the LEGO Twitch community and kind of what Twitch is like for the LEGO community right now, because I'll admit Twitch is still something that confuses me a little bit. I still don't feel like I have like 100% grasp on kind of the ecosystem over there. I don't spend a lot of time watching Twitch streams, so it's still something I'm working to figure out. So for people who maybe are active on Twitter or you know, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, various other places in LEGO community, what is Twitch like for LEGO fans, and what can people find over there from you as well as, you know, anyone else who might be streaming?
So Twitch, just to talk about how I got into it, Twitch is definitely something, and I think it's something most people know for gaming, and that's how I discovered it myself. I was really big at Destiny a while ago, and that's kind of what had drawn me into it or helped me discover it. And it was, I guess, kind of good luck that around the same time I had stumbled upon Twitch, they had been promoting a lot of creative content. So I kind of caught wind of that, and I was like, oh man, you know, this platform's so big, and like somehow I haven't heard of it, but I'm sure there's got to be a LEGO community here, just like you would expect from any other major platform. And I was so shocked to find that there was like pretty much no LEGO content happening on there. And it was actually really thanks to the fact that I've been doing some Skype calls with friends while building that I was like, oh, this is kind of similar to what I do, where I'm just chatting with my friends while I'm building. I definitely think it keeps me motivated to have people to bounce ideas off of and stuff like that while I'm building, instead of kind of being in an enclosed box when you're building. So I was like, maybe it'll be really fun to try this out and see if this is something people enjoy. And so I got it started. Really started to love it. And around the same time, a couple other people had similar ideas, and slowly the community has grown out and just continued to build, pun intended. And it's just a really fun place. And like you mentioned, and very similar to, you know, a YouTube live stream, interactivity is the big focus. So I definitely think it kind of becomes similar to, like, I would definitely say my stream is kind of comparable in a sense to like a daily talk show. So, whether it's like, Ellen, Rachel Ray, you come in every day, you get to know the person, but you get to interact with them one-on-one. So it's kind of really special to be able to build, a friendship or a rapport with them directly, and just get to, share different aspects of our lives, whether it's, the gaming we're into, the movies we're watching, the TV shows we like, and of course, the Lego building that we love, whether it's sets or getting creative and all that stuff. So I think it's just a really unique and fun way to be able to share this passion that we're all into, and be able to, highlight that and stuff like that.
And Brian hit on that earlier when he was talking about how he's interacted with you kind of in the chat on streams. So Brian, as someone who has streamed on Twitch as well as kind of interacted as a fan, what has your experience been like with that?
So Lego building is different from gaming. And I've struggled a lot with like keeping up with my chat, because a lot of people are very, talkative in my live streams in particular. So like when I'm focusing on a game, it has my full attention, and then I also have to keep track of this and that. So I can't imagine trying to channel creativity while paying attention to the chat and acknowledging everyone or most of the people that come in and say something. And then obviously if people show support via following or subscribing or bits or whatever. So it's two, in my opinion, two totally different frames of mind when you're building as opposed to when you're streaming a game. And what's really cool to see with your streams, Nick, even if you're not participating in the chat, like what I'll do a lot of the time, I'll just be like, all right, hey, hi. And then I'll end up doing some work. I'm editing or something, and I'll just, lurk in the background and let the stream go. And I'll see you create this shield from Pokemon and the sword, and it just pieces together over a couple of streams in a couple hours. So seeing that process happen is so different from gaming, because gaming, it's all like this. It's always going. And it's such a different mindset from what you normally see on Twitch. It gives you a lot of time to talk to people if you're not in the intense focus of like a Lego Masters situation.
For sure.
And like, especially you have like the big heart. Like that's something that I haven't seen many other people do, myself included. I wish I had a giant way to acknowledge like the subscribers and the people that contribute to your community the most. Like I wish I had a way of doing that, and you having that in Lego is so cool too. Like it all plays into each other, and you found the right platform. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people on Twitch are, they're not like a part of the Lego community, but you are the Lego guy. So they're like, oh yeah, that's a Lego guy. Cool. I'll go watch him for a bit, because you've collaborated with, some pretty big name streamers on that platform that people on YouTube would have no idea who they are. So it's two totally different worlds and two different frames of mind, I feel like.
I definitely think you made a ton of great points in there. And I got to say, like, shout out to you, like, because I've started to bring in a little bit more gaming content recently, and it blows my mind how amazing people like yourself are at balancing being intensely focused on a game and maintaining the interactivity.
It's not easy.
I pride myself on being able to do while Lego building, and like you said, a lot of the time while building, it's really easy to just pause, talk, and then get back to your work, right? Yep. You can't do that during, an FPS game or a racing game or whatever it might be that you're enjoying, or, whether you're focused on a puzzle in a story game. So and I will say it took a lot of practice to get more comfortable with being able to develop creative ideas while talking to people. That's definitely, the first year I was streaming Lego builds, like I was very quiet while working on those. But I've definitely, practiced it over time. Just like with anything else, the more time you invest in something, the better you're going to get at it. And I always encourage people always ask me, how do you get started with building? And it's just like, you just got to try, and you just got to be willing to put the time in. Because just like with anything else, the more time you put into something, the better you're going to get at it. And that's definitely been the case with streaming on Twitch. And then, like I've done my best to, find opportunities to, I've worked with Twitch themselves. I worked with some big streamers. I definitely try and create collaboration within the Lego community through things like a Lego building competition I run every year called Battle of the Bricks, which was out before Lego Masters. So I'm just going to slide that in there. I did it first. Not that a Lego building competition was a novel concept. That had definitely been done before, but So yeah, I don't know. I just think the live interactivity just continues to be so fun. There's always something new, and I think something that's cool about Twitch is people are still discovering it. So there is that opportunity for me to be the Lego guy in a sense, but I do think it's just so cool to just continue to have new people come in and contributing their ideas. I've been like, one of the main things that I do in my stream is something called viewer build requests. Normally happens on Mondays. I'm actually going to be doing that tonight instead because I didn't have a stream yesterday. But the idea is that people come in, suggest ideas, I throw them in a poll, we vote on them, and we build it in the moment. And so knowing that I'm very lucky to have a lot of new people joining on a regular basis means it's extremely, extremely rare that I'm building the same thing for a viewer build request. I'm, just getting to try a bunch of different new builds, and it just keeps pushing my creativity because I keep being forced to try new and different things every single day or every single week. So, oh my gosh, this production is incredible. John, man, just like.
Don't you wish you just had someone to help you produce stuff too?
This would be the most incredible thing.
John, if you want some side hustle work, let me know. Hit me up.
Okay, noted, Brian. You just have to move to Toronto. No big deal, right?
Since John and I can't, cover builds at conventions together, this gives us a chance to work together on video.
I like it. Yeah.
You'll just be on a separate live stream doing live commentary as he's building. Like, we're here with BrickinNick, and he's building the blue brick on top of the blue one. Whoa! Like, play by play.
Exactly. But I wanted to dive deeper into Twitch in terms of how the support works over there, since we do have Nick and you and Brian on the stream here are both active on there. So for people, maybe like myself, I'm sure we've got people from both Facebook and YouTube watching right now who aren't too familiar with it. How can people, if they're like, hey, I think this work is cool over there, talk about kind of the system of support over there. If you want to support maybe a Twitch streamer or a Lego fan who's doing something over there, and what the best ways are to do that.
Yeah, so Twitch has following, so that's very similar to how it works on Instagram or Facebook. So you can follow someone, that way you can be notified of when they go live, keep up with all their streams, find them in your following list, kind of like having an Instagram feed in a sense, but it's just for live content. And then if you're looking to kind of take things to the next level, there's a couple different ways that you can show some further support and love. So I think similar to kind of like, what are they called? It's like the super stickers or the super chat on YouTube. I would probably say would be most similar to bits on Twitch. So they're kind of like a donation currency in a sense, or like a way to tip. So you can quote unquote throw bits at a streamer, and you have to buy those with real money, and then the streamer gets a similar equivalent of real money from that. And then subscribing is kind of the ultimate way to show support on Twitch. And basically that's very similar to maybe like a Patreon or something like that, where for a set fee every month, you subscribe to the person. You choose to do it for any amount of time. You can do it kind of month to month, or you can just do 1 month. You can set it for a year, whatever you may like. And that's basically a way for you to consistently support someone. And it gives you some of the coolest benefits in that Twitch has a big culture around emotes or emojis. And streamers can actually upload custom ones. And so by subscribing to that streamer, you get access to those exclusive emotes, which you can use anywhere on the site. So my emotes are mostly inspired by Benny from the Lego movie. So there's one of him saying hi. There's one of him being hyped. And then I have a couple other Lego movie inspired ones as well. So it's a cool way to be able to say thank you for the support by giving them something cool and custom that they can use across the site. And then like Brian mentioned, being a Lego builder, I was able to come up with a very fun, creative idea where I have the sub heart. So if you subscribe to the stream, I'll write your name on a brick and it'll forever go on the sub heart.
My favorite emoji of yours, emoji to use, is the brick built eyes that are like, so like when I enter somebody else's stream that's not yours, like I'll use the brick built ones instead of the original ones, and they're like, no one's acknowledged like, wait, that looks a little different. Like it looks so like similar to how it's actually
close, is. But like if you're a Lego fan, you would know. And that's what I like that subtlety with it. Yep. But I literally that was actually just a render that I made in studio. So I took 2 of the 2x2 eye tiles, angled them a little bit, rendered it nicely, and then formatted it to be a little bit of an emote.
Yeah, and you can do whatever you want with like emotes in general. Like I have one that's like modeled, like I use the easy button a lot in my videos. Yes. So like I have that. It's like a
boom.
Right, exactly. So like you want to do it so like an emote typically is pretty like interactive in a sense. So if something easy happens in the game, like, all right, can I get some easy button in the chat, you know, and then they all spam it and everything. So like that's like a good interactive thing to do with the live stream. So if something happens, you know, you can call out something and, you know, it gets people engaged. So but you can do whatever you want as long as it complies with terms of service and all that. And it's very inconvenient in a sense that like every streaming platform, whether it be, you know, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, blah, 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 they all have their own different member system, subscription, a follow means. So like when I say, hey, subscribe to me on Twitch, a lot of people on YouTube are like, but I subscribe on YouTube. What are you talking about? Well, it's the same. It's not the same thing, but it's the same name. So it all can get very confusing and it's kind of designed that way, I feel like. So yeah, it gets a little dicey, but Twitch is by far the most dedicated streaming platform with the biggest pull, and it being owned by Amazon and that Amazon money funneling in and the opportunities that are on there, like that's the hub. So if you're streaming, you probably want to be on there unless you have some exclusivity deal. You can go somewhere else, but that's where I would say you want to be.
Oh, wow. I just noticed a typo in that video. Really good job, Nick.
Well, there you go. And like, yeah, like TwitchCon is a thing where all the Twitch streamers go there. And it seems like all the cool kids go there. And I wanted to go this year. Who knows if it'll happen, but you know, seems like a good time.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I got to say, like the Twitch community definitely feels really tight knit. I can definitely say some of my current best friends are people that I've met through streaming. And some of them I still haven't to this day met in person. But again, that live interactivity of being able to have a conversation with someone really does, you know, help form friendships and stuff like that. And I think it's something that continues to you know, drive me forward with live streaming and continues to be something I just absolutely love about the platform. And I don't even know where I was going now. I'm totally lost. That was a build though that I did at TwitchCon in 2018. I was very lucky to get to work with Twitch. That's actually now on display in their HQ somewhere in California. And I just love being able to create that, kind of recreate the interactivity of a Twitch stream in person. So that was an event designed where you could come by, build a section of the mosaic, and then we would put it up on the big board. So it was really, really cool to be able to, again, meet a bunch of new people, have a little conversation with them, and be able to bring a really, really fun creation like that to life. And
like that rainbow guy there, Kappa, it's a big emotes in the community. And there's okay that are like that are like Omega Lol, and you know, there's all sorts of different PogChamp poggers. Like there's a whole like language. So if you want to feel really old and you don't know the Twitch language, just hang out in like Nick's stream or mine, where people have, you know, all sorts of like, what do these things mean? It's a totally different culture than anywhere else that like the 13 to 24-year-olds kind of dominate right now. It hasn't caught on with a lot of the, you know, actual adults that, you know, pay taxes and have mortgages and stuff. Just it's normally. I would disagree. I have lots of adults hanging out in my stream. Yeah, I'm more so thinking of like, I see a lot of people using YouTube streams that, you know, they all hang out together. Like Twitch is more for, and a lot of people pop in my streams like, I have no idea what this Twitch thing is. What is this? As they walk over with the cane. And I'm like, well, here you go. Here, you type in the chat. Here. So it's just a different demographic overall than YouTube and especially Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning so much here. This is great.
You feel old yet, Joshua, with all the language? You should.
Yeah, I can't keep up with everything. It's too much. So I try to upload YouTube videos, and beyond that, I do what I can.
That's why we're here.
You're incredible at that. So there's really nothing wrong with sticking to that thing you do incredibly, incredibly well. Exactly. Where would we be without this incredible channel? So,
well, thank you very much.
There's nothing else to do. We're just sitting around doing nothing. So if we didn't have this, I don't know. I'd probably be sleeping. Who knows?
You could be taking a nap, but instead you've got to be online streaming here.
I might be taking a nap now. I got a futons over there. I got a blanket. It's fine.
So just fly across your desk, Brian, and just go for it.
Yeah, it could hold me.
I don't know if that's. I know that's against. You're not allowed to sleep on a Twitch stream, but you might be allowed to sleep on a YouTube stream.
You're really not. That's the thing.
You aren't allowed to sleep? Like if you
know what? I think it used to be in the terms of service, and it's now, I think, partially allowed to a degree.
That's weird.
I know.
I mean, not that I would do it. I mean, maybe if I get bored during a 24-hour stream, I'm like, all right, chat, just go wild, whatever. Just let them go. But
just get your dog or cat, and like honestly, Twitch chat always they're always telling me like, Nick, just leave your dog and go. Like we'll be happy.
Right.
The dog.
I mean, the dog is more adorable than any Lego thing that you'll ever build will be. Let's be honest.
I know. I should just stop. I should just give up.
Well, so wait, I think I've seen your dog once, I think, and I have enough channel points to redeem you doing tricks with the dog. So I'm waiting for the good opportunity. But
actually, I feel like, Brian, that's a great way to mention something that I do think is very unique to Twitch.
Sure.
Whether it was, I had actually originally used a custom bot that someone had built to build up a currency, basically. So the more you watch, the more you earn of this currency. And then I created a bunch of incentives for that. Twitch now has it built in, which is incredible. It's called channel points. So basically, if you're watching and active in a live stream, you get to earn up these points. And then the streamers can create incentives for you to use them on. So one of the examples, as Brian has so kindly mentioned, is that you can actually get me to bring my dog out and play with him with you. So I think it's a really another awesome element of Twitch is, just being able to kind of have a say in what's happening before you. And luckily Twitch has a ton of amazing built-in tools to make that happen.
I thought for a half second, let me redeem the dog trick one during the Lego Masters build. And I'm like, not going to do that because that'd be mean. And I had
it disabled though. I had it disabled. I planned ahead for that.
No, that's smart. Cause like I have one where it's like, oh, you have to hit the dab. And then like, I made it too low of a redemption. So I literally had one of my mods redeem 20 at one time. And I'm just like this for like 5 minutes. So,
you gotta be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could change, like it's like a currency. You can change whatever the amount you redeem for and all that. There's a lot of interactive features. But I was gonna say with your dog. So your dog is a Corgi, right?
No, he's not.
Okay, no. So why is Corgi the thing that you build all the time? When did that happen? Why does that happen? Why is your chat obsessed with Corgis? I don't. You need to tell me, and I wanted to ask you here instead of provoking, something. You have to build something in your stream.
I appreciate you bringing it up here rather than in the stream, because if you brought it up in the stream, I'm sure I'd be building one. And I have to say, I'm so mind blown that I didn't end up doing a Corgi related build for the Lego Masters challenges somehow.
I am too.
So I like knock on wood, I get to avoid Corgis for a little bit longer. But essentially, it was a joke that actually started back in 2017. As part of my viewer build requests, someone had asked me to build, I think it was like the Lady and the Tramp, or something like that, or like no, it was the Fox and the Hound. Sorry, it was the Fox and the Hound. Someone had asked me to build the Fox and the Hound, and someone made a joke that my fox looked more like a Corgi. And, I was like, no, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Of course it's not. It's obviously a fox. And it just managed to stick with just enough people that the next week they were like, okay, Nick, now you got to actually build a Corgi for viewer build requests. And then it just down spiraled into this insanity. And as you can see here, I have some more recent examples of some more intensely built Corgi variations. So I had to build Corgi Charizard and make a video on that, which was not...
That's so funny.
I mean, you do a good job with it. They look really good. And
thanks, I guess.
One was the Halloween, the zombie one, right?
Yeah, they're up on the shelf above me here.
Like, they look really good. And I'm never going to pressure you or vote in your chat to make one because I know how you feel about it. But I just wanted to ask because, like, your dog's not a Corgi. So, like, why are they so obsessed with it? And I know some people are against it. Some of the people in the chat right here are like, hey, not all of us are for it. But your chat is very passionate about it, man.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, I think that's another fun thing with Twitch is just like you end up having these like themes or inside jokes per se that you kind of build up. And I mean, if you had asked me 3 years ago, hey, Nick, did you still think you'd be building Corgis 3 years later? I would have said, ha, no, there's no way this will last that long. And yet here we are, it's, and the funny thing is like some of the original people who had played a big part in that becoming a meme in a sense don't even come by it nearly as often. So it's just bled from, person to person to person that it continues to be a thing.
Also, I will advocate in your chat to make it stop. So is that actually what you want to happen, or are you still just like okay with it going along?
I honestly I feel like I'm just so beyond the time where I like actually have an opinion on it. It's like almost just a fact of life now that I'm just gonna build Corgis, and that's the end of it. Like,
I'll be the bad guy in your chat. I'll tell chat to stop.
Yeah, they won't listen to you though.
Well, wait a
You
second.
can go crazy, but
I'm wondering, is the plural of corgis, or is the plural corgi? Like, there's a big pod of corgi over there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
maybe I can get a discussion going. I don't know. YouTube chat, what do you think?
Yes,
I don't even know. I've been building them for so long, it's all a blur. It doesn't even make sense to me anymore. It's just this orange thing with a white front and eyes. Like, that's and sometimes for the nicer builds that I do, like the reindeer corgi that's being shown.
This raises an interesting point, though, Nick. So you've talked a lot about how, you know, one advantage of Twitch is how interactive it is, and you get these people to give input. But is there a downside to that at all? Of like maybe you're streaming and you don't want to do something, but because you know this is what the fans want, you've got to do it, even though maybe you don't really feel like that, or you'd like to do something else. So does that play into it at all?
I definitely think it does. I think it's like it kind of comes with the territory. Like if you start streaming on Twitch and you're familiar a little bit with it, you'll definitely know that you're going to be, you know, subjected to some things that you probably aren't going to like or enjoy. I definitely think, like, you know, communities on Twitch in general thrive on seeing their favorite streamers suffer, you know, whether it's for charities or just in day-to-day things, you know, making them do things while they're playing video games, you know, interrupting Brian with 20 dabs in a row while he's trying to play some Fortnite, whatever it might be. Yeah, they really, really like to have some fun with you. So it's something you kind of know you're getting into. And I mean, of course, you can set your own rules and do whatever you like. I try and make sure I keep things lighthearted and light-spirited, you know, that I maybe say I don't want them to happen, but I'm still obviously willing to let them happen. And I mean, hey, I've come up with some fun builds with them, so I can't really argue with that much. This was actually the first, like, big build that I did of a Corgi, and I definitely think this, like, them getting to see this build and continue to inspire things beyond maybe where they would have gone otherwise. So... yeah, it just comes with the territory. You know, you're signing up for some craziness when you get into some Twitch streaming.
There's a fine line between, like, you know, being the one on screen, the entertainer, and then doing what you want to do. So, I for example had a small little bottle of hot sauce at the end of my stream, and I suffered a little bit, and it's fine, you know, because it gets a laugh out of people. People enjoy it, and it's, you know, it's more interactive that way. But yeah, you always have to draw a line between, as a creator, what you want to do and what the people want to see you do. Like, people have asked me to play Roblox for years. I'm not doing it right now. No.
Yep.
So, and like, you know, Beyond the Brick, you guys know that. Like, people want you to do a certain thing, sway, you know, whatever way. And there's only so much you can do or want to do, you know?
Right. Yeah. So you've got to, I guess, balance it out between what the fans are looking for and versus what you're interested in, and just what you have the resources and time for as well.
Oh, absolutely, totally right about that.
But
everybody seems to be very convinced Corgi is just the plural. So I've lessons learned here.
Boom,
I can't believe it. I was totally joking.
They got into it. No, Boom, you started a very heated discussion here. But it looks like most people are on the same side, so Corgi it is.
There we go.
Brian, when will we see a Nintendo Tensegrity build on your Twitch stream?
If I had any amount of creative LEGO talent, I'd be tempted. Like, I only stream a couple of times a week, so it's usually a game, and I try to keep it something interactive with, like, you know, what people in the chat want me to do, you know, relative to what I want to do. So I would love to, maybe when the Nintendo sets come out, because I have to talk about it at least for a second here, maybe I'll be tempted to do something there. And yeah, every time there's like a build request in Nick and your streams, I always vote the Nintendo thing, Isabel or KK Slider or something. Anytime there's Nintendo anything, absolutely. But I can't confirm it right now if I have any Nintendo builds happening. I don't, but you know.
Joseph Zawada says he's considered building that, so you gotta beat him to it.
Oh, well, I'm assuming he's more talented than me, so you can go for it, buddy. I'll let you have exclusive reign on that one. That's fine.
Boone, with all this discussion of Twitch, have you considered streaming yourself building MOCs in the future?
On Twitch or
possibly, or just more in general?
You know, the thing I have a hard time with about MOCs is it just takes me a long time when I'm building MOCs in my studio. You know, my studio isn't really designed to like be able to find pieces quickly. So when I build MOCs, I spend a lot, like even if I was building right here, I would spend a great deal of my time like in other parts of this room, you know, and not necessarily on camera. So that's been my challenge lately, or that's been my challenge all along. Lately, I've been thinking about doing more of like buying a set and seeing how many different things I could build from the pieces of that set, and then maybe turning it into like, you know, 3-in-1s that aren't for sets that came with 3-in-1s or whatever, or maybe taking, you know, a long time ago I tried once doing a thing where I popped open a set, I dumped out all the pieces, and then that sort of solves the problem of like roaming around my room looking for pieces, right? Because I'm sort of limiting myself to the pieces that are there in that kit. And then so I could just sit here and that's all I have at my disposal. And then part of the benefit of that could be that, you know, if people had that set or wanted to get that set, you know, they could try some of my ideas, or I don't know what. But so that's kind of the idea I have right now.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And then, you know, that could also be turned into a challenge for people who are you know, quarantined in different locations, right? Because they can very easily get their hands on the same set, and then that sort of levels the playing field, right? You can have a competition with somebody, you know, given an hour, given 3 hours or whatever, and build, you know, each build something to a theme, but you know, you're sort of eliminating all the variables that come with, you know, how we all sort differently at home, and people having different, you know, quantity levels at home and whatnot. So anyway, those are some of the ideas I'm toying about, but coming
I think
soon.
They sound really great. I feel like though, like I need to like ease your like concern about it, and that like I also have like I do a lot of moving around. Sometimes I need to go get parts in another room. I think you'll be really surprised at how patient people will be with you and having to look for pieces and do stuff like that, because it's definitely a normal part of what I do in my streams. So yeah. I feel like that should not be your reason. Like you should do it, Boom. Just get out there and build, and people will love to be there. And like Brian mentioned, you know, like I know like my streams a lot of the times I have way less people talking than I do have watching, and because I feel honored and privileged to be the background noise for someone, right? Whether they're, you know, just sitting there working on some video editing, even playing video games, and they just like to be able to kind of slowly look over and once in a while go, oh man, look, Nick's made some really cool progress on this build. I think people really do find it exciting and interesting to see how these things come together. And then obviously they get the benefit of being able to hop and say, hey, can you actually show me how you did this particular part or this part? And at the same time, like you can talk about how you organize your pieces, and you can share that all in the moment, and then also learn from the people that are watching with you. So it's just, I do think it just makes for something really, really fun and awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for the encouragement.
Do it up. I would definitely say one of my goals when I started streaming on Twitch was to encourage more people to do it. Like I have to say that like the LEGO community on Twitch absolutely blows my mind how much it has grown. And it's just so cool to see people's different takes on it, whether they're, you know, trying different types of challenges. One guy out there likes to try the Lego is Lava challenge. So he only uses tools to touch the Lego pieces, not his hands directly. So there's so many different ways you can interpret and tackle different types of things. I definitely think like the alternate building is something I keep telling myself I'm going to do, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So I definitely think it'd be amazing to see more stuff built around that. And I definitely think it's a smart play, like you said, to keep things limited. For viewer build requests, I do have like 3 trays of pieces that are mixed from just a couple of different like classic sets that I use to keep the builds way smaller and to limit the pieces that I'm using and force a little bit more creativity in that. Okay, yes, I know if I was building this thing, this piece in my collection over there would make this super easy, but I don't have that piece in this limited set of pieces I have. So how can I make this build come to life with what I've got before me. And I think it's a really great way to show people that even with a small amount of pieces, you can still get creative. So
let me ask you,
out there inspiring people, the better.
Do you think there's any value in is there any value in multicasting, or like if people are gonna try to create a presence on Twitch, like commit to the presence on Twitch and create content just for Twitch, you know what I mean?
So you're saying like are you talking about streaming to multiple platforms at once?
Yeah, so like I already stream on YouTube,
yeah,
and I don't stream on Twitch. So what I'm wondering is like, would it be a completely lame effort to, you know, begin to create a presence on Twitch by, you know, piping the stuff that I'm already doing on YouTube, or would people be like, this is awful?
I think as long as you are equally acknowledge both platforms, I definitely think that can be a great way to kind of start to build up a presence. Like even Brickfall many years ago had done a little bit of that. Their chat on YouTube was absolutely insane, so it made it really difficult for them to balance, because when they're kind of operating at different scales, it can definitely be easy to lose track of one or the other.
Right.
But like I mean, luckily, like even today, just me getting to see with StreamYard that you get both chats from Facebook and YouTube in one feed is amazing, and I'm sure there are tools like that can make it possible. And then, so yeah, I definitely think it's a great way to kind of build up a little bit of content on both, and just give people more options for how they might choose to interact with you. Because admittedly, like, I don't love YouTube's layout, and luckily I found an extension on Chrome that makes YouTube's live stream layout look like Twitch's. So I'm actually watching a lot more stuff on YouTube now because I like the way that it looks with this extension. But I think just giving people more options in how they choose to interact with you is never a bad thing, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very familiar with multi-streaming and multiple platforms and keeping track and all that. It can be very difficult at times to manage multiple platforms. So for my live streams, for example, everyone's very talkative, right? So, you know, keeping track of people, and I like to be very engaging as much as I possibly can. And then let's say you live streamed on YouTube, and like there's a program, an extension called Mob Crush that allows you to multi-stream to YouTube, Facebook, Mixer, and Twitch at the same time. And there's all different audiences across there. So if you, as Boone, Lego Masters Boone, were live streaming on even just like Facebook and YouTube, you're going to get both audiences chatting at the same time, potentially to the same degree, where, you know, do you have the moderation capabilities yourself or with other people to keep that in line? How much attention do you want to put on the people in the chat as opposed to what you're working on? So it can be very tough to keep track of, and especially with, you know, you being on the show, you're going to get inundated with questions and all sorts of things all the time. So, and it's a very different culture across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch in particular. So it's kind of three different mindsets, and you can tell, like, all right, a lot of the moms and dads are on Facebook, a lot of the younger viewers are on YouTube, and then the tweens are on Twitch. So you have to like keep three frames of mind if you were to do that at the same time, and keeping track of the chat, and it can be very, very taxing. I know it is for me.
Yeah, so I mean, I've only ever done Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, and I have a handful of volunteer moderators that are typically in there. And what I've found is that either less people are viewing on Facebook, or less people are chatting on Facebook, and Facebook just seems to need less moderation. But anyway, so I think, you know, my question, yeah, it's like, I'm sure with sort of each tendril you try to put into another platform, those challenges just grow exponentially. So what I'm kind of wondering, maybe my question was more like for Nick or you. Well, and Brian, you do your gaming on Twitch? Yeah. So I guess then for both of you is like, what you still feel, generally speaking, like you would encourage someone who's interested in trying Twitch to try it.
Yes.
You wouldn't say like, no, if you haven't tried Twitch yet, you're better off just not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, get into it. Yeah, that is by and far the streaming platform, and that's more. YouTube is very, very, very closely associated with VOD, and it's been YouTube's mission statement, I think, for the past couple of years, seeing the rise of Twitch, to change that and have more live features and more things. But like Twitch far and away is more superior with the interactivity and understanding what the people on the platform really want, and the settings and the what you can do with it is just so much further ahead than YouTube is right now. And that can obviously change. It's Google and Amazon fighting. It's pretty much what it comes down to.
It really is.
Like that's all it is. And both are powerhouses. So it's like, okay, YouTube has the great video on demand built in, and people know YouTube. Everyone uses YouTube. But like the Twitch people are diehard. They are there and they love, and anything other than it gets dicey. So, and it's still relatively young. YouTube has been around for 15 years. Like, there's still a lot to learn with Twitch, and you decking out like your alerts and your overlay and everything like that to give it your own spice, which you can do because you could just practically build it and have that be your overlay and give it more personality. On Twitch, it's going to be more appreciated than I feel it would be on YouTube. So I would say absolutely go for it. And I know Nick is going to say the same thing.
Yeah. And I do want to say someone had made a great comment, like highlighting that trying to stream across all platforms. I definitely think that's an extremely tough challenge. I don't think I would ever recommend going beyond 2 platforms at one time. Having to split your attention 2 ways isn't nearly as difficult as having to go beyond that. And I definitely think, like, in a lot of ways, Twitch, and again, like Brian talked about, Google and Amazon, they're button heads. They're competing for that live streaming space. But in a sense, they are starting to become a little bit more similar. And I think the way that the audience is getting used to interact with people on YouTube and Twitch is starting to become a little bit more similar. Like you mentioned, though, people who are on Twitch, a lot of them are deeply invested in the communities that they're part of. I definitely think there's a general more sense of like kind of broader communities as well. One thing that I love about Twitch that I think it has over YouTube is, and it's a built-in feature, or it became a built-in feature after communities have been using it for so long. And I think that's another strength that Twitch does, is they look at the things that the people are doing on Twitch and they integrate them into the platform natively to further encourage it. And it's called rating. So it's a really cool feature. It's not as violent as it sounds, I promise. But basically the idea is to encourage people, kind of like YouTube does with videos, where when your video ends, it automatically starts to play another one for you. It gives the streamer the ability to choose a stream to take your viewers to. Because if the live streams end, a lot of people would just stop watching and go do something else, right? They might hop on into YouTube to watch videos. But it gives the streamer ability to say, hey, no, I have this friend on who does things like me, or I know is really awesome and fun and engaging. And I'm going to bring all of you with me over here so we can go and hang out in their stream together. So it has this really great way of building and chaining communities together, where people can discover new people all the time through a recommendation from someone that they know and love. And I think that's a really fantastic feature that goes a long way to contributing to why people love to stay within Twitch, is because they can find new people on the platform through the people they know and they trust.
It's a big game of hot potato, and every time I'm streaming and then I'm like, all right, who are we going to raid? And then I see, like, Nick, you didn't stream last night. And I'm like, oh, I guess I can't raid Nick. All right, I'm preparing for tomorrow. So I guess I'm just going to end it here, because, like, I always advocate for, who is family friendly, who's entertaining, who's doing something cool. And then I look at who I'm following and I'm like, all right, not you. Okay, not right now. No. And then it's usually, all right, is Nick on or not? Cool. And then but it's only happened a couple of times just because of the timing. But that's how that community can keep interacting with each other, where if you really wanted to, you could be on just a string for 24 hours straight of just going bop, bop, bop to person to person to person. And it counts as like in a way, like an endorsement, or like a, hey, this person's cool, I vouch for them, stamp of approval, there you go. Maybe that's just how I view it, but it can have that sense as well.
Cool. Thanks, guys. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate you answering my questions.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much, I mean, just like any platform, but Brian, I think you mentioned how Twitch is a little newer than a lot of these platforms as well. So there's still so much to figure out and a lot to experiment with there for people who are interested in and maybe getting going on there. It's just that try new things, I think, is probably a big part of it.
Absolutely. And especially because the LEGO community is so not as ingrained as a site like YouTube or even like Instagram or Flickr or something like that. Like, it's just another place for people to get to. And the interactivity aspect of it it's a game changer as opposed to just uploading a video of your MOC or your city or something like that. Like, you kind of saw that with Brick World Virtual, where you could talk to the builders like in real time and see what the feedback was and things like that. And I think that, and not to keep complimenting you incessantly, Nick, but like the way you do it.
Yeah, can you stop?
Reviewer builds is such a great interactive way, and it's so quick. Like, the turnaround time on them is relatively quick, and you get to so many different suggestions, and it challenges yourself. And people get to, I got to suggest the thing that you built. Let me share that on my social media. It's so like well thought out, and I'm like, man, this guy's good. All right, cool. So Boone, if you do something like that, I mean, obviously you do it in your own way. Like, you would be killing it, 100%.
Awesome, thanks.
And I do just want to say, so some people in the chat didn't maybe get quite a clarity. I went on about rating, but rating is basically when I end my stream, I can choose to redirect all of my viewers to another stream so we can all go hang out there. So instead of your experience just kind of ending suddenly, if you do want to, check out someone new and hang out, the streamer has the ability to literally force your link to change to the other streamers. So when I do a raid, it literally changes the webpage to the next person's stream. So it's a really great way to kind of pass people on.
Oh, you're saying raiding, like we're all going to go raid this other person's...
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I want to do it just for that.
There you go. And I will throw out there, a lot of people, like Brian mentioned, get really creative with their overlays and stuff like that. And admittedly, it's something I'm actually working on a little bit more for something like raiding. But people will have these whole routines they'll do. They'll sing you a song. They'll dance. They'll have light shows and effects. So when someone raids you, there's this whole experience kind of built around it. And again, it's something that I think has become very prevalent on Twitch. And it's kind of encouraged among people. And in a sense, keeps people competitive too. Like, it's like, oh man, look at what this guy do. Let me see if I can one up this. So it's really, really fun to see how people will approach these different things, like alerts and stuff like that.
And when you, I was just gonna clarify one thing. So for the rating thing, so Nick, when you're ending your stream, you don't go join the other person's stream. It's just you and all your viewers go over there and start watching someone else's stream.
Yes,
You're
exactly.
Physically joining.
That's totally correct. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Boone?
Oh, Amanda in the chat said, Boone, what did you think they were saying? I thought he was saying rating, like rating, like a movie gets a rating. But raiding sounds way more fun.
Yeah, a lot of people will definitely play it up. So, a lot of people will have a message that they say when they go to raid. So my raid message is, I get everyone to post it in the other person's chat. XYZ person, whoever it is, brings hugs from BrickinNick and will never let go. So you kind of come up with a fun way to encourage your viewers to come with you and bring some hype and excitement to the next person.
It usually involves spamming that channel's emotes if you're a subscriber as well.
That as well. Or whatever emotes you have that can kind of express excitement.
It's just like crashing a wedding or something. But
it's almost always welcome. Like, it's encouraged on Twitch. Crashing a stream is totally allowed and totally fun.
Oh yeah, you can disable it, but I don't know, you wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Any amount of collaboration and hot potatoing that can happen, the better, in my opinion.
Indeed.
I know you guys have mentioned moderators a few different times now, and I know that how helpful they can be to keep everything in line during the stream. And it seems like, from what I do know about Twitch, that's like moderators are a big part of the culture there with helping streamers out. So is that something where like for bigger streamers, will they pay moderators, or does it reach that level, or is it always basically a volunteer thing if you're just watching someone stream?
I would say it's the very tippy 0.1% will have paid moderators. Admittedly, it's quite difficult. It's usually for me, it's if someone hangs out a lot and is always showing that they're supportive, I'll ask if they don't mind. It's hey, you're super supportive and amazing. you want to just, have these couple of extra things that you can do to kind of help me oversee things. That's kind of how I usually approach it, is just finding like friends or people that have watched for a long time that I know I can trust, and just helping me keep an eye on things here and there. Luckily, I find in general, I don't need to do a lot of moderation. And again, Twitch has tons of great tools, just like on YouTube, to make it very easy to delete a message when you need to and such. But they're definitely like, I think they, in a lot of ways, go underappreciated. And it's, big shout out to every moderator out there who chooses to volunteer a little bit of their time to get out there and support their favorite people.
In the exact opposite framework, I'm like, all right, hey, you're cool. You're a mod now. And I give them the responsibility and let them go. I usually, so in terms of like paid moderators as well, like, yeah, the top 1/10% has probably paid moderators, because the chat is probably either in slow mode or subscriber only mode. So a lot of the popular guys already have like amassed there's 35,000 viewers, and there's 3,000 people who are subscribed or whatever, which is a paid subscription or Twitch Prime every month and all that. So they have it in slow mode, as well as only subscribers can chat. So that really limits the amount of people that can chat at one time. And then what I've seen a couple of times is like, the guy who is moderating the Twitch chat is also the editor for the person as their full-time job. So it's kind of a dual sword sort of thing, going at bat for the Twitch chat and for other things as well. So for me, I like I said to Aunt McCloud in the chat, I was like, congratulations, you're a moderator now. Don't mess up. I didn't say don't resist. I said don't mess up. Because like, someone shows up in the chat, they're here pretty consistently. They don't spam. They're not, it's just kind of a thing that I feel out personally. And if I know you personally and you're a trusted friend, and like Kevin Hinkle, for example, I give him the wrench. Like, I know he's not going to abuse his power or, anything like that. So, and like a lot of people like that. So, it's not necessarily everyone. Like, I think you showed up in my stream, Joshua, or your brother did, and I didn't give you a wrench. So even if I don't know you,
okay,
that doesn't mean you get one necessarily, but it helps. And having like a good balance of moderators to viewers. You don't want to have too many, because then it looks kind of overwhelming. You're like, well, why is it like this? So yeah, that's another balance thing too.
Huh? Yeah, I guess there's so much to figure out with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have some of my best friends that show up that are my best friends in real life. They don't have the mighty wrench or anything like that. So, it's the people that are there frequently and support the stream and all that. So I'm sure, as with like Vision Bricks down here, keeping the kids in line, doing a great job. And I gave him a wrench in my stream. I'm like, hey, you're cool. Take it. All right. Nice. So that happened.
Yeah.
Vision is wrapping up the wrench collection.
I know one thing I will say, because you guys were talking about like in terms of streaming and everything earlier. I know like one of the issues I think I do find myself having at times, because I used to stream a lot when I first started my channel, but then one of the issues is that you're always focusing on the chat, and so it ends up taking away your focus from what you're doing.
Sure.
So I feel like, because I know like one thing you guys did say was in regards to being on different platforms. So like, for example, YouTube and Twitch. So it's almost like in the sense that you're kind of like having 3 different things you're like multitasking between, because between reading, or even 4 things actually, because between having a YouTube stream going or a Twitch stream going at the same time, and then you also have you having to read both chats, and then your whatever task you're completing at the same time. It's like a whole lot to work with. So I know like at the moment I just like enjoy doing YouTube like for now, and then if there's like a different platform, say for example, I think like Instagram's like the other thing that I do tend to use a bit more than YouTube streaming now, just because of the whole webcam setup and everything. I'm still like trying to work that out, but it definitely can be like a great experience being able to interact with your community and being able to see like the different stuff that they're working on, and just being able to share different points of like input and stuff. So it's definitely something I enjoy when it comes to this like whole streaming community and making videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's usually a thing like, if I have a moderator in my chat, I moderate for theirs and vice versa. We help everyone we can, but no one's like obligated to like, oh, I need ants here now to do this. Like if you can't, you can't, like it's not a big deal. Like Mike was streaming last night or the night before, I forget, because I've lost all sense of time and reality. And someone had bots in his chat just spamming like, "Hey, go to this channel, go to this channel." And it was basically I had a shotgun and there were discs flying in the air. I'm like, boom, boom, after another with all these bots, like, get them out of here, you know? So moderators, they come in handy. Oh yeah.
They do.
I just want to say, Vision, I think you had a really great point there in that, like, when you choose to get into the world of basically social media, because you're making content in some way, shape, or form, you really got to pick and choose your battles. So I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of just find what you enjoy the most and, keep your priorities on that. When you really start to stretch yourself across too many things, it can definitely become extremely overwhelming. I'm currently trying to be consistent in content across like 6 different platforms, which is absolute insanity. So live streaming on Twitch, making videos on YouTube. When I make a video on YouTube, can I make a TikTok from that? Can I make an Instagram video for that? So it's definitely, you got to just kind of find the rhythm that works for you best and what makes sense for the time you have available, the resource you have available. Whether you can have some friends who can help out with the moderating of the streams or editing videos or managing posts or managing a community on another platform like Discord and stuff. So you really do got to kind of just figure out what you maybe enjoy most and are most passionate about, and then go with those ones as being the place. I having been so invested in Twitch for so long, it's obviously something I try and advocate for. But at the same time, like, I would never, blame or be angry at any of you for just writing it off, because it's just too much to take on. And I can absolutely understand and appreciate that there's just so much going on out there that you can't be doing everything at once.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You just said, like, when you create a YouTube video and you're like, can I make a TikTok? Can I make an Instagram video? What's your goal with turning part of your YouTube video into an Instagram video? Are you trying to get people to cross platforms, or is it just another piece of content? I don't mean to say just another piece of content, because yes, like another piece of content. Like, can you just tell me just a little bit about like what your goal is?
Yeah.
Generally speaking,
I would admittedly say, as much as I love Twitch, their internal platform discoverability kind of sucks. Because the platform's so focused on live streaming, there isn't a lot of natural discoverability. Admittedly, like, a lot of my new friends do come kind of exclusively from raids. It's not very often that someone's going to hop onto Twitch and just be browsing for something new. When someone goes onto Twitch, 90% of the time it's because they know and love watching someone on there. So they don't necessarily get a lot of exposure to different things. So when I'm trying to think of how I can let people know about my Twitch streams, it's like, okay, I might be able to find some new people through TikTok or through Instagram and bring them into my stream. YouTube, I think, has the big benefit of obviously being a massive platform with great video-based recommendation system that can help them discover your channel and then eventually help them find your live streams. Twitch really doesn't have that aspect of people watching VODs and then discovering a stream through that. So I do think being able to get content into other places can be a great way to help people find streams. And I've definitely seen the results of that. Like, I honestly have people on a regular basis come and be like, "Hey, I found your Instagram recently. Wanted to come see what you were doing here." So it's just another means of being able to draw in some more people to finding something new that they didn't know about.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's the thing with so many different platforms. Like TikTok, it's such a different philosophy from Instagram TV or general Instagram post or tweet, and like what's going to get the right discoverability here, there, and everywhere. So, I mean, that's like the business mindset of like, how can I optimize the workflow to, accommodate all these platforms without porting it over and making it seem unnatural. So, it's all different. And like, you notice when Nick does like a build on the Twitch live stream, the background on the Instagram post is typically all one color, and it's very properly lit where you don't see that setup on the stream. So I don't know where you have it, or like what your philosophy is behind that, or do you just show like your background of your set, how you have it right now, Nick? But it's just totally different things that work for all these platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, you just got to kind of work within what makes sense for you. I am definitely trying to make more of an active effort to make this part of what I do for a living. So that definitely means I need to invest more time and figure out what works for each platform. But if you're doing this more in a casual sense, or it's more of something on the side, you may not have the time or the resources to kind of make that kind of stuff happen. So.
I like what Kevin Hinkle here said in the chat. He's also become great friends with people, Nick, that you've hosted on your channel that he probably wouldn't have found otherwise.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like there are a lot of small world moments. Like I know who exactly Kevin is thinking about when he says that. There's a gentleman named Canadian Papa Bear who I randomly discovered because he was streaming Lego building. Anytime I end my stream, I'll often go and see if I can find a particular Lego stream that I haven't seen before, so I can kind of show them that there's a community out there of people who like Lego building. And so this guy had actually been doing Lego builds on Sunday pretty regularly, but he also ended up loving a game that Kevin really loves, and that formed a friendship between them that I'm quite confident will last the lifetime for both of them. And Kevin, hangs out in his channel on a regular basis. And again, that rating aspect of Twitch is, again, something really unique and helps people discover people you would have never found otherwise.
That's awesome. I love it. Thanks. I'm inspired, you guys. This is cool. Hey, I need to bounce to have a meal with my family.
Oh, whoa! Who does that?
But can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Please.
No.
Yeah.
So I got a $10 police car. I started out by building a spaceship.
Ooh.
What else should I try? I'm gonna take the spaceship.
Did you build from that?
What's that? Yeah. What else should I try? I started with the spaceship. I'm gonna take the spaceship apart, and I'm gonna try to build one, or maybe two more different things.
I feel like you could do a boat.
A boat. Okay, cool. Boat.
Jet ski, but a boat, yeah.
Jet ski. Oh, I might. Okay, boat or jet ski. Cool.
Some sort of floating vehicle.
I'll head that direction. Thank you all so very much. I really appreciate it. Sorry to.
So awesome chatting with you, dude.
You too, man. Let's do it more often. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later, Boone. Vision, we haven't had a chance to check in on your build there, I don't think yet. So what are you working on?
I am currently working on a mock from the movie Alien, so the first one that came out in 1979. Because I'm pretty much going to be starting my own series of making individual mocks from within the whole franchise. Mainly just like they're more so like the original movies than the recent stuff like Prometheus and then Covenant. So I have like this figure that I got from minifigs.me, and I basically took time to work on making this custom, if I can get that on the screen, custom flamethrower, which is based off of the design from the first movie. And that's kind of like the whole ground for that. And currently what I'm trying to do is to design the corridor scene where she's running with the flamethrower through the corridor while the alien, which would be the xenomorph, is attacking.
So this is a question I guess I have for Vision and Nick. When building a mock, I always get stuck with like, all right, I have this idea for a thing, and then I don't know if I have the pieces or they're certainly not organized. So trying to find a combination of what I want to happen versus what I have at my disposal to make work. When you're making an actual mock and a thing you have in mind to look a certain way, where do you draw a line between what you have available to you in this moment versus, okay, now is the time for me to order pieces on BrickinNick or something? Do you just work with what you got, or are you more often than not ordering just random pieces in bulk, equivalent to what I think Jang Bricks does? You just order stuff because it looks cool to add to the arsenal and pull from it as it is.
I would say normally what I do is I work with what I have. Over time, I've built my collection enough to have like certain pieces that would be a key necessity to building, for example, plates and tiles and stuff like that.
Now, is that
so that it'll come in handy? That came via mainly sets, and then the Lego store like Pick a Brick Wall, and sometimes BrickinNick. But the only time I used BrickinNick excessively was when I was working on my Battle of Wakanda Forest diorama like a while ago, and that was the only time I went to BrickinNick like excessively, because it was this huge scale and I was going to need a lot of parts for it, which I didn't already have in my collection. So I think like for example, like if it was to go to anyone that's in the chat, I'd say work with what you have. It definitely does come into play, because you may think like certain parts may not be there, but if you like take the time to just figure out how to use a certain piece, it'll actually, you know, work in your favor. And then in the scenario when you do need like parts that are like that, you know, you definitely don't have, and you can't really think of anything or any way to be able to use a certain piece to get what you need to get done, then that's when I would say like go and look for parts and stuff like that. So I mean that would be my advice.
And honestly, like, you literally took every single word out of my mouth. I'm not too sure if you're reading my mind right now, but you absolutely nailed it. In a very similar way, the majority of my collection was built up through sets in the pick-a-brick wall. Yeah. I'll actually let a lot of the times the pick-a-brick walls parts availability drive whether or not I'll tackle a project. Something like the Pokemon sword, for example. I know the LEGO store walls had a lot of yellow plates, so I was able to take advantage of that for that build. And then it's like you said, like, you can often make things work with what you got, and then only in the most like desperate scenarios per se do you hold off to be able to get your hands on the pieces from BrickinNick. So like an example would be to go along with the Pokemon sword that I have. Been working on the Pokemon shield a little while ago. Admittedly, I've been lazy and I haven't ordered the parts I need yet, but there are, you know, just the these particular, you know, wedge plates, the 1x2 variant that I just don't have in yellow. And I really don't think the build would be nearly as good without that particular piece being in these places. So I worked on as much of the build as I could, using a gray as a substitute, knowing that eventually I can replace those. But otherwise, I pretty much tried to just use what I had with me. And I will throw out there, I like having my pieces organized in a way that allow me to maybe find things I wouldn't have expected to use as a substitute. So you might have, you know, you might be building along, have an idea in mind, thinking, oh, this piece is going to work great for this. But maybe while you're looking for that piece or just checking out some of your other pieces, you'll stumble upon something, oh, maybe I can make this work instead. And that can actually end up inspiring a really cool solution to something you thought only one piece could solve. So I group my pieces in, you know, in a lot of similar categories. A lot of other people do plates, slopes, stuff like that. But I find by having some pieces together, rather than maybe being sorted out separately by piece, I end up stumbling upon other solutions I wouldn't have thought of otherwise. So that can be a great way to maybe reduce your reliance on needing to order stuff by being willing to maybe try some things outside of the box or use different pieces than you would have expected to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good answers. I always get flustered. I'm like, well, I don't have these pieces, so I give up, which makes me not a good builder. And I know that. So I know my strengths and weaknesses, but I keep to like, I've done like a couple of pixel art things, and that's easy enough ordering 1x1 plates to do that. Yeah. But I don't have that master builder within me to look at something like how it is in the Lego movie. You're just like, oh, this could go to this and this and this and this and this, and bam, there you go. My mind just doesn't work that way, at least not right now. Maybe if I build incessantly for, you know. Yeah,
and honestly, I think that is the key to kind of developing that mindset, is just spend time within it. Lego sets are a great way to expose you, especially nowadays, like with honestly so many AFOLs being the designers. I think we get to see a lot of the techniques that we know and love being worked into Lego sets and new ideas being introduced all the time. So just maybe paying a little bit more attention to a Lego set while you're building it can introduce you to ideas that will give you that ability to have that visualization. Go, hey, I remember seeing this technique in this Lego set I built. This could actually apply to what I'm doing for my mock that I'm working on. And so just spending more time within the Lego community, within building Lego sets and checking out other fans' creations can be a great way to inspire different ideas to work for different things that you might not have expected them to.
Kevin said it perfectly. He's like, Brian is just waiting for his awakening. He needs a Vitruvius and Wild style in his life. And yes, I think we have two contenders right here to you know, put the plug in my brain to be like, all right, now here we go. Now we're good. But right now, it's exactly like Emmett. It's like it's a void and just a giant. Is it a hand in the Lego movie that he like? What the hand that he envisions? I think.
Yes.
So it's that. And then I build a double-decker couch, and I'm like, oh, it's great. So, yeah.
But hey, and again, like you know, like in the Lego movie, the double-decker couch ended up being so critical and something so important. So, you know, sometimes it's just you just gotta let that imagination run wild. Let it do what it's gonna do, and who knows, you might come up with something more awesome than you expected.
I hope one day, but that day will not be today. I will trust that with you. And if people want to check out that content, they can go to twitch.tv/BrickinNick. That's also a big thing of Twitch culture, I think, in general, is like, here's the shameless plug right here constantly. So like I play into that too. So
you play into that. Like I get uncomfortable every time you say my channel name. I'm like, stop. I'm not.
You gotta reaffirm people. You spam the link and all that. That's a whole part of it too. I mean, from what I've seen. So
there's always new people joining the live stream, so we got to remind them where to go. Check it out.
I guess so. I think that's why you guys have such a great channel, because you know how to do that well.
That is funny though. That's something like John and I have discussed this occasionally. We've never done the whole thing of like telling people to subscribe in a video has like never really been something we've done. I don't know. And I think our thought has always been like the content kind of speaks for itself. People know what to subscribe on YouTube. Like that's not a foreign idea to people. So if they like the content, then the subscribers just kind of follow naturally. So at least with YouTube, I don't know, that's never been like a big thing that we've tried to push nonstop in terms of actually like me mentioning that in like every video or something when we're shooting it at a convention.
Yeah, that's a fine line. Like I always say it as like a play on the people who actually say it. And like I've seen videos on YouTube where there's a literal animation that's made in After Effects where it's like it shows the channel and then a little mouse goes over it and then clicks the subscribe and then hits the bell. And it's like it's very obvious. And people do that obviously for a reason, because some people might genuinely forget. And the thing is, a lot of the people who are watching might be younger than you, or you might think. So maybe that little bit of, incentive at the bottom, like, okay, let me do that and let me turn on notifications. Like, there's a reason why so many people are doing it. I always, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like that. I hate when people do that. Like, that just happens to be a key thing to get people to interact. Like, some people say like, oh, click the card over here to do X, Y, and Z. And people wouldn't be saying it if it didn't work, but you don't want to overwhelm the audience. And I feel like Beyond the Brick as an audience is not very super young, that would need to be reassured every time, where, if adults are watching the channel, they're like, all right, I get it, shut up, whatever. So I do it as a play on the people that typically do it, and I usually go way over the top with it. Like, when I insert, Nick's link to twitch.tv whenever I can, just like a little, just as a little jab. But like, obviously at the beginning of the video, yes, if you want to check out this, do that. But it's a fine line.
And I think to a point, it's just like you got to find just what's comfortable with you and what feels natural to you. I think if it feels unnatural, then you're probably, forcing yourself to do something you're uncomfortable with, and your viewers and the people who are watching are going to feel and notice that. And I won't lie, I struggle with it, and I've gotten into the habit now of forcing myself to mention Twitch, because again, my goal is to get as many people as possible discovering it. And if I don't say anything, they're definitely like, it's going to be very unlikely they're going to find the channel. But I like all of my YouTube videos pretty much all talk about Twitch, but I almost never mention like liking and subscribing on YouTube, because I figure if they're already here, they're going to understand how that part works. So
I've actually, one of the people that's in my chat, his mom is like a marketing person, and she's like, you need to promote your stuff more, tell people to go to the shop. And I'm like, all right, Michelle, I don't want to overwhelm people, but like people do that all the time. Like that happens to be part of the whole shtick. But yeah, you gotta pick and choose when you want to do that. So I wouldn't say you're doing something wrong by not doing it, Josh. It's just a different strategy, a different incentive,
Right. Yeah, and like Nick said, just kind of whatever you're comfortable with, what works for you. And yeah, I just always felt like it would be weird, or I feel like I'm like shoehorning it into a video and like pushing it in when it really fit.
Totally. Yeah. Then people do all sorts of tricks, whether it's at the end of the video, the beginning, in the middle. There's all different philosophies to it. Some people go way overboard with it, though. Like, I never want to be that guy that's like, hey, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Like, if you want to, go ahead. But I'll wake up in the morning just like I normally would, whether you do or don't. But if you want to show support by doing this, then that's great too. So give people a reason, and Like Beyond the Brick shirts are available if you really want to support.
btbmerch.com.
Yeah, I had to actually buy this myself, not to publicly call you out, Joshua, but I had to buy this with my own money. I didn't get the company card. It's my own, and I'm on the live stream here, so if you want to,
that's what got you on the live stream. Is we saw how big of a fan you were, and we're like, well, if he'll buy his own merch, then we'll let him on.
So someone can. You're saying someone can buy their way onto the stream?
Of course.
So a $500 super chat will replace me on the live stream Tuesday. You want to go for that, please?
Don't oversell yourself, Brian. $500 is a lot.
Wow, but that's also Tuesday and Thursday, so it's a twofer there. A refund for Brian, please. Craig. Here we
go. Yeah. No, you're irreplaceable, Brian.
It's
no
fine.
amount of money.
And like Kevin, Kevin said too, I designed the logo and I had to buy a shirt. Equal opportunity. No bias. No bias at all.
There you go. Nick, where'd you get that Twitch the jacket from, or sweatshirt there?
So this it's actually extremely difficult to get your hands on a purple sweater. There are only two ways. You get partnered on Twitch. So basically you become you get verified. So very similar to how you would on YouTube. Or you fundraise for St. Jude. St. Jude is the only other company allowed to get these sweaters printed. So every year I pretty much do fundraising for St. Jude. And if you raise a certain amount, you get a purple sweater. So that's how I got mine.
That's awesome.
That is cool. And it looks great. Yeah. It's also, the purple is a unique color, so it kind of stands out. So that's cool.
Yeah. You definitely learn to just eat, sleep, and breathe purple when it comes to Twitch. You find yourself weirdly in love with it.
Every platform has their own color to make up the whole rainbow. YouTube is red, Twitch is purple, Mixer is purple, blue, and then Facebook is blue, and
Twitter's got the aqua.
Yeah. I think DLive is yellow, so it's the whole rainbow of colors for live streaming and video in general. Yeah.
And I know something you mentioned, Nick, several times earlier about kind of balancing things. I think Brian has talked about this as well. So I feel like that balance would also come into kind of how often you stream. So for people who have not checked out your streams, this is a good time. Number one, to tell them when you do stream, and also talk about how you balance that out. Because I'm sure it'd be easy to just get overwhelmed thinking, I've just got to be going basically nonstop because I need to always have content out there for people.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a really great thing. So I'll just quickly throw out there, I stream 4 times a week, Sundays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and Mondays and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. I think when it comes to looking at how you're going to go about producing, especially live stream content, I think having a schedule is by far the most important thing. Frequency, I think, actually matters way, way less. If you can only have 1 scheduled stream a week versus 6 random streams, I would strongly recommend going with the 1 scheduled stream. I think a lot of people really like to get into the routine of knowing when to expect a stream, and it makes it a lot easier to ensure that they're going to come back on a regular basis. So having a schedule, I think, by far is the best way to go about it. And honestly, less is more in a lot of ways. If you can have a couple of really high quality, high energy streams, I think that's a lot better than just being live for 12 hours a day every day.
Yeah, I think, Brian, that's sort of what you've said in the past as well with the streams you do, trying to keep it shorter but higher energy.
Yeah, so I usually go for about an hour and a half. I go 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if I feel really good, then I'll keep going. And it just really depends. And I concentrate whatever energy I have into that hour and a half. So it's just I try to make it more like a show, I guess. I don't know. I try to be more hyped up. But if I were going for 12 hours at a time, it would be that same energy just dispersed over 12 hours constantly, 4 or 5 days a week. That's tough. That's very tough. So it's just not what I do. Also, a quick shout out to Constable Dickey in the chat saying, did someone say super chat? Now, Kevin, you didn't need to do that. He's from my corner of the live streaming world. Thank you, Kevin. You didn't need to do that. That'll line the pockets of the Hanlon brothers. Congratulations. You're contributing to the top 1/10 of 1% of LEGO YouTubers. Congratulations, sir.
That's right.
Hey, everybody needs to be supported. Otherwise, what's going to happen to them?
That's true. But, hey, you lurk in my streams all the time. It's fine. Anyways.
Shots fired.
It's okay. I know, Brian, but I'd love to see you in a purple Twitch hoodie with that Twitch hoodie's great. That's great. But I like my Bricks O'Brien blue. That's pretty good too. And this red isn't too shabby on me either. So, you know, all sorts of colors all across the board.
There you go. We got a question from Joseph Zawada, Nick, in the chat about the plan for Bricks in the Six. So for people who haven't heard Bricks in the Six, maybe tell people what that is, and then whatever the latest news is with that show.
So Bricks in the Six is a LEGO convention here in Toronto that started last year. With the global, situation as it is, it has been postponed. Luckily, they were able to get things worked out with the hotel. That is just going to be moved till next year. So no Bricks in the Six for this year, but you can definitely look forward to Bricks in the Six #2 or its second year coming in 2021.
So they just moved it to next year, basically a similar date at this point?
Yeah. That's what they're going to be aiming for.
So anyone in the Toronto area, that show had its first year last year. I wasn't able to make it there, but Nick, what did you think of it?
I think it was great. It's run by Graham Diamond, who was a former Lego master builder at a Legoland, has been a big fan of Lego pretty much his whole life, and now does Lego building professionally. So he really, really loves the community and everything like that. And there had been a previous LEGO convention in Toronto that fortune kind of fell off. And so kind of left it a little bit of a gap for local LEGO fans and anyone maybe from Canada in general to have an event to connect at, minus an amazing event out on the West Coast, which I am totally blanking on the name of right now.
BrickinNick?
Yes, BrickinNick. Thank you. I don't know how I forgot that. My memory really sucks. But yeah, I think it was a great first event. Awesome opportunity for the local LEGO user group to display their builds to the city. And really great to see a bunch of fans from across various borders coming on into Canada and Toronto. Toronto is an amazing city. I was born and raised here. Absolutely love it. And I think there's a lot of amazing stuff to see. And Graham worked really, really hard on finding a location that gave people an easy way to explore the city and be in the heart of the city and see a lot of it. So just if you get the opportunity next year and you're maybe looking for an excuse to come travel to Toronto and Canada, Bricks in the Six is definitely an amazing opportunity to do so.
Toronto was great when I went there. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it reminded me a lot of Boston in a lot of ways, so that helped it make it not feel as foreign to me. But it's a very beautiful city from what I've seen.
I'm glad to hear you enjoyed your time.
Please visit us again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would be great to make it up there. I was disappointed last year that we couldn't make it. I was still finishing my master's degree then, and just with all the other shows and stuff going on, it didn't work out. But hopefully, whenever it happens again next year at this point, we'll work it into the schedule.
Yeah, beautiful. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Sounds good. John's got that great. There was like a promo video there that
awesome video showcasing really all the amazing things that you could see. I will say, I think one of the coolest things that this video doesn't really encapsulate was we created kind of like a scavenger hunt through the city where it was like basically a Lego Amazing Race. So it gave people a really amazing excuse to kind of go out and explore the city, but still participate in some really fun Lego activities. So that was definitely a really unique feature that Graham put a ton of time and effort into planning. That definitely gave, I think, a lot of people the opportunity to explore the city where they might have not have otherwise.
Yeah, that unique features like that are what really pull people into shows, because these days there's so many Lego shows that happen around the world, but specifically within the US now and like North America, that you really coming up with unique things to kind of offer something different that doesn't happen at other shows, I think is a big draw for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a question in chat here from Constable Dickey asking if Beyond the Brick does anything at PAX East or anywhere else on the East Coast. So we do various events on the East Coast. We go to like New York City for Toy Fair. We do like Brick Fair, Virginia outside Washington, D.C. PAX East, I've heard of that. I don't actually know what all goes on at that convention, so we've never done anything there.
If you need some enlightening, I can go on a whole tangent here. That is my home convention. As it were, as Kevin Dickey knows. I'm very big advocate for PAX East, and that's a exclusively gaming thing. I think having some sort of Lego presence there, akin to what you did, Nick, with TwitchCon, would be really cool. It's one of the biggest gaming conventions on the East Coast and in the entire world, really. So it has, tens of thousands of people that show up, as opposed to the typical Lego convention that has significantly less than that. So it's an entirely different beast. But in terms of the East Coast and Northeast specifically, Boston, a lot of people from around the world travel for PAX East, where a lot of the US based, the LEGO shows, for people to go from like New York and Pennsylvania all the way up to Boston and back would not be as like centralized as it would be. Well, there you go. There it is. It wouldn't be as centralized as if it were in Philadelphia, which is why, Philly Brickfest is a thing, Brick Fair, Virginia. It's more so, if you really want to show up from Florida, like really show up, you can, but no one from Florida is going to drive to Boston. That's just too much. So there have been a couple LEGO shows in the Northeast. Brickfest MA, I think, was supposed to happen. I don't know if it did. I don't think it is, but a couple, but it just makes more sense for it to be Virginia, Pennsylvania, that area, as opposed to up here. So unfortunately, no, but that's more incentive for me to travel, to go to other places. You guys can keep the LEGO shows. I'll keep PAX East right in my arms, colored nice and tight. So maybe I would love to do something Beyond the Brick related at PAX East with, the convention and in some capacity. That'd be cool. I don't know if that would work and who you talk to, but now you got me thinking, Kevin. Hey,
I've always wanted to do a PAX East, so I'll just throw out there.
Listen,
join the party.
I will accept anyone who hasn't been to PAX East. Open arms, gather around, children by the campfire. Let's have a great old time. All right, we'll talk. And man, I am I feel like people on the live stream here know me too well, because I always talk about like Boston and I love it and all that, and the same way you do Toronto and all our home cities. But yeah, anytime I can get more people, to my corner for once a year thing, absolutely, let's go.
Brian's happy to introduce you to all the best restaurants and food in Boston.
The pastry in the North End. Absolutely. And yes, so it's actually different from a lot of the other conventions. With PAX East, you have to buy your tickets significantly ahead of time. It's not a thing you buy at the door. I mean, you can, but you're not supposed to. The hotel, I had to book, like the show started in late February. I had to book my hotel October, and otherwise they're gone. So you really need to be ahead of the curve on that one. The tickets do sell out. It's a whole big thing. Like, it dwarfs the biggest LEGO convention that's ever happened by far. And that's not an insult to any of the shows. It's just a different poll. It's a different beast. And I don't actually know the attendance for like TwitchCon, but I assume it's a similar thing where there's just more people as opposed to any of the other LEGO shows, right, Nick?
Yeah, TwitchCon, I think, I believe if I remember in 2017 had about 50,000 attendees. Wow. And I'm pretty sure they cleared 100,000. If not, maybe 200,000 in the last year, because they had it at the San Diego Convention Center. So where they do San Diego Comic-Con, they ran TwitchCon. So it's definitely growing massively.
So PAX is much more on the level of like a San Diego Comic-Con or Star Wars Celebration type of event.
Yeah, it has less like of a singular corporate energy there. Obviously, this year it was different because of the situation going on around the world. But typically, you have the Nintendo booth and you have Sony, Microsoft, whoever. They're all showing up, and it's more so focused on the fans than a typical, showcase demo of like these games. So whereas E3, the big gaming convention where they announce new things, is more so for the journalists, the corporate people, whatever. PAX is all about the fans and interacting, waiting in lines for hours on end and all sorts of things like that. So it's very different, but I thoroughly enjoy it. I go on very little sleep and have so much fun, and it's one of my favorite weekends of the year. I'm very thankful I could go this year before this whole situation unfolded, but it's unfortunate that a lot of these shows are getting postponed or canceled, but that just means 2021 is going to be even better and more energy is going to be brought to that. So it's all good on my end.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you do some coverage at PAX for us sometime if there's something LEGO. I mean, we've done like San Diego Comic-Con and Star Wars Celebration, so there are LEGO things that happen at these other conventions. So if there's something there, always happy.
We'll talk. We'll send out a couple.
And then Nick can get down there and you can cover the build he's doing.
There we go. We'll keep it all in the family. Family here.
Somebody asked earlier in the chat. I forgot to mention Philly Brickfest is another East Coast show that we go to. That show is still happening this year. So it was supposed to be at the end of April. They moved that to a date later at the beginning of October, I believe this year. So assuming shows can happen at that point in the year, then we will definitely be there. We always enjoy going there to Philly Brickfest. Been there several years now, so. Hopefully that date works out for them and they can have something happen this year. I know a lot of shows have had to just completely cancel this year and just go into next year at this point. But for the ones that moved it later in the year, hopefully they can still make something happen.
Joseph Zawada in the chat saying, Brian, I'm looking for someone to cosplay as Bayonetta at PAX East for a Super Smash Brothers group. Want to join? Joe, I'd be honored to be Bayonetta. I think, John, can you pull up a picture real quick of what Bayonetta looks like, just so Joshua can be.
I feel like this is.
I would slaughter that costume and be the main attention at that show. Not to shadow you, but I think it would look. It'd be a sight to see, for sure.
I literally like when I think of someone wearing a Bayonetta costume, Bricks O'Brien pops into my head first thing.
Who else would it be? You don't need to change the sizing or anything. Keep it the same. It's 2020. I can dress up in whatever thing I want to, no matter the size. So what if it looks like a crop top? It's fine. It's fine. It's all good.
John's trying to find it.
It doesn't matter if it's a little risque. That's fine.
Ready for it. He's into it.
There it is. Yeah. So imagine me in some pleather and stilettos. I'm down. Hey, Pat, are we down? Let's go. And I'll show up. I'll review BrickinNick's build as Bayonetta. All right, at PAX East.
I'll build you one of the props. I'll build you like her sword or something.
That's fine. Who's down for it? I'm ready.
I think you could pull that costume off easily, Brian.
Hey, you don't have to pay for my flight or anything. It's 20 minutes away. Let's go.
Wow.
It was like I'd pay so much to see that. E-Logger says, no, my eyes would die. Thank you for the support, Eli. Appreciate you being here. Yeah. So we'll see. We will definitely see.
We're gonna need a lot of super chats to get Brian in that.
Yes, absolutely. all support to all of us, because that's a group effort here. Beyond the Brick has to sponsor me going there, and BrickinNick provides the brick for the weapon. Yeah. She actually does have like these like dual pistol things that from Smash Bros. So like that could be it. Just an idea. Yeah.
Kevin, that's true. We have reached that time of the stream.
But that's the best time, in my opinion.
We've got about a half an hour left here. We usually go for about 3 hours. So we've got a half an hour left here to see where else it goes. Oh, man.
Craig's asking, Brian, if you dress like that, would you keep the facial hair? 100%. I'd grow the neck beard out even more than I do right now. I'll let the quarantine beard go. I thought about shaving. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go all out with it. I'd not shave the facial hair for at least 6 months beforehand. I should start now, actually. Just
start now. Yeah. Why you wait? Why wait? Just go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a big cosplay element to the PAX East?
Oh, absolutely. That is such a massive showcase there. And it ranges from, I bought this Halloween costume in 2016 to I literally do this as my profession. It's such a wide variety of people that cosplay. And I've seen some, Bionicle characters at these gaming conventions.
Really?
And like Johnny Thunder and all sorts of things like that. So it's not as popular, but no matter who you are and what your background is, like you can dress as whatever you want to, and you can get really creative with it. So I've seen one guy who dressed as Metapod from Pokemon, but instead it's like this royal knight armor with lights, and the sword like flips around, and it's a whole big thing. Like people go crazy with it. And TwitchCon, exact same thing, just like Comic-Con. It's all that. Not as popular with LEGO shows. I've seen it like once or twice, but I mean, LEGO is tough to make it, cosplay in general. But like I've seen like Johnny Thunder before, like a couple of things. It's such a massive part of PAX for sure.
That's cool. Well, it sounds like it's worth checking out sometime. So maybe I'll pay a visit if at some point and when meet up with all the rest of you there and see Nick's build.
Exactly. Totally.
It is fun we go to so many LEGO conventions. It's fun to visit other types of conventions as well, whether it's like a Star Wars Celebration or a Comic-Con type of thing, because yeah, you just get a different look into other fandoms and, you know, a different experience for sure from Lego conventions. So for us, like since we travel to so many different Lego shows, it just mixes things up a bit and it's fun to do. That's why, yeah, we were really disappointed when they canceled San Diego Comic-Con this year, because that's always a very different, unique event for us. So that's unfortunate, but we'll see it next year, I'm sure.
Yeah, all the Lego shows feel very like, you know, everyone kind of knows each other. Like you can look across the convention hall and see someone you might recognize. But yeah, like Comic-Con and TwitchCon and all that, it becomes harder to come by. So I like that sense of community with the Lego shows as opposed to the other shows.
Nick, have you done builds? So you said you did it. Was it 2018 at TwitchCon?
Yeah.
I've
done 2 major build events at TwitchCon. So TwitchCon 2017, we did a giant build of the Twitch logo, and then 2018, as we showed earlier, we did the big mosaic. And then I always try and find a way to weasel my way into various things. So last year at TwitchCon, I did something for the TwitchCon partner party, where we had a bunch of video game Lego builds that people could come in and build minifigs and take pictures of themselves with. So always looking for avenues to just bring some Lego fun somewhere where you might not have expected it otherwise.
Right. Yeah. I think that's really, really neat, because, you know, these things happen at Lego shows all the time, but then bringing that to a completely different audience, what kind of reaction do you get from that? Is a lot of people, is this the first time they've seen something like that?
Yeah, it's definitely a ton of that. And honestly, I think one of my favorite things from having done these was having people be like, I've never actually built with Lego before. So getting to be a part of their first ever building experience it feels like an honor, like to be able to kind of witness that moment and be a part of it. So gotta say, I'm a really, really big fan of doing those to kind of make this stuff happen. There you go. So yeah. And so that's a couple of different events that I've done as well. I did a build for St. Jude, of course, a hospital I love to support, at an event called GuardianCon. It's now known as Gaming Community Expo. So that event is all centered around raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And then I did the Link build at a local toy convention. So that was just something that we just did as a fun build. And we had to have a lot of fun actually destroying that one at the end of the event, which was really, really silly.
Brian, sorry, you couldn't get to it before they destroyed it.
Oh, that's okay. Some things, you got to let the people have a little fun with builds like that. It's all good.
It is. Destruction of Lego builds is always fun in my opinion. It's never not entertaining to see someone destroy a build.
Totally.
Unless you do it really, really poorly, because admittedly, the one build for the Space Smash challenge I did, that Smash did not go well. Not how I planned it at all.
So, you got to experiment with it a bit.
Sometimes.
Between the Bricks was asking a good question involving the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. Will they happen this year? I personally believe yes, but it's going to be through the LEGO VIP program that got renovated recently, and they actually listed, I think, one of the SDCC exclusives as a potential giveaway win thing on, I think a little while ago, a couple of months ago. So I think you could see something like that, but ideally, the exclusives that would have been there or the figures or whatever have already been produced or far enough in the timeline that they're going to get made regardless. I don't think they'd halt production now. So who knows what fashion they'll come out in, but I would hope so, just as a little incentive for LEGO to be like, all right, hey, this is not happening this year, but here's still this thing. We're doing this thing in our own way. So I think they'll happen. I don't know about you guys.
I feel like LEGO would kind of continue to build on something they've always done, which is they do giveaways on a lot of their social media. So I've actually won one of the giveaways on Twitter a couple years ago. So I think we might just see a little bit of a wider pool or a larger amount of people get to win through that, which I think would be great because it means that a lot of people who wouldn't normally be able to go to the event will maybe get a better shot at getting their hands on it. But I definitely think using the VIP program could be a great way to kind of keep things tied a little bit more to the LEGO ecosystem and be an awesome way to get a couple of those out there too.
Yeah, and for clarification, Ben, it wouldn't be like a redemption through the VIP. What they did before was entries into the giveaway. So it's something a bit like that where, yeah, if they listed it, it would be gone like that, of course. But, if you contribute, a maximum of 5,000 VIP points or whatever to potentially win this thing, then you have a tighter knit community of people in the LEGO redemption program, as opposed to just a simple retweet on Twitter. So the fact that you even won via those means, Nick, is incredible.
I know the odds. Like I was I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
And that shows that they actually do give it away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an actual thing. So having it be in the VIP program would keep it a bit more tame, which I think is better.
Yeah.
Speaking of unusual Lego prizes to win, did you guys ever enter? You know, on the back of the instruction booklets when they had the survey, and then it would enter you to win a set. This was like close to 10 years ago now. Was stunned. I did that and actually won a Star Wars set through that the survey on the back of the instruction booklets. Which I don't know if I've ever talked to anyone else who had won anything from that. So it seemed like it's like not a very common thing, or I wasn't even sure if they actually sent it out. But I guess since I got something, that means they were sending them out to some people at least. So I still have that Star Wars set around here somewhere. I need to do something with it at some point. But yeah, I was very, very surprised by that because it's on all the instruction booklets, and it's just one of those things you wonder if they actually send anything out for it.
Yeah. Lego's pretty good about that stuff anyway, so it works.
Right. I'm sure they wouldn't just do that and never send anything out. Hopefully not.
Bamboozle the public. I don't think they'll do that.
Let's see. So we've got a few minutes left here. If chat has any questions before we have to sign off with Nick or Brian or Vision, feel free to put them in there, and we can make sure we get your questions answered before we end the stream for today.
What do you guys got planned for the rest of the day?
Probably more Lego work.
Cool. Nice.
There's never an end to that, right?
Right.
And then Nick, you're streaming tonight, right?
I will be streaming at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you guys do want to come by, it'll be I'm doing a viewer build request stream, so that'll be an opportunity where you guys can suggest ideas. I'll throw them in a poll, we'll vote on them, and we'll build them in the moment. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
And Vision, what about you? Any hot plans tonight going out on the town? Well, you can't do that.
Not yet. I mean, go outside. Next thing you know, you're getting pulled over. So I think the only thing I'm probably going to be doing is still working on this mock, and possibly maybe do a stream on Instagram. Maybe. I didn't know that I want to
that stream. Where are you?
Instagram, which would be at VisionBricksYT, or the YouTube channel, which would be VisionBricks, and that's about it.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, last thing people are going to be trying to do is talk through email back and forth. So I mean, I would not be pulling that out. Yeah. So that's about it.
We have some great questions, a lot of which, we could have based this entire broadcast on. A lot of Lego sets got official pictures and announcements recently. Mm-hmm. Most notable for me this morning was the Harry Potter sets. I was
going to mention that. Yeah. I was like, how is Brian not brought up Harry Potter yet?
So I want to see, this is the issue. Joshua, you set me up you bring on some great guests, right? And Boone has a lot to talk about with
Should I leave? Because you mentioned great guests, so I don't think.
Yeah, I know you could go, but you got BrickinNick on. I want to make sure that they get to talk about their thing, the Cybertruck, of course, and I don't want to fanboy out about Lego Harry Potter. So if there's an off week where there's no one, then I can go on a whole diatribe about Harry Potter. But to summarize, these sets are awesome. They are fantastic if you love the movies, which I do, and reaffirms that if Lego has the proper sets, or rather set pieces and movies to pull from, and they can hone in on that instead of basing it just off of concept art or preliminary footage for a set, then this shows what they can do, because all of these sets are directly from the movies and they're done incredibly well. And it's some of my favorite sets I've seen, pictures for this year. And, August 1st for US and June 1st for international. August 1st for me, between Harry Potter and Mario, my head is going to combust. I need to take out a mortgage. I don't know what I'm going to do. If I end up doing reviews on some of these things, what do I prioritize? I don't know. So all these sets are stellar. I'd love to talk about them more in depth in a different format, but just a quick summary. Fantastic. Oh man, so excited.
No, I have to say I was really excited to see this too. I frankly had thought Harry Potter was kind of done. So I hadn't really been paying attention that much to whether or not they were going to be doing more stuff. And I just got to say, I really, really love the addition of the Hedwig model.
Yes.
I think it's so fantastic to get I don't know, like I always call it UCS style of build, where, you know, you're kind of doing a detailed build of one particular thing. And I got to say, the Hedwig is beautifully done. I love the stand. The fact that he comes with the little envelope is just absolutely wonderful. So really, really awesome job.
So cool. Yeah, that's a whole video stream in itself, man.
100%,
That's a whole piece of content, John. If you want me to work on that one, let me know. I'd be more than happy. But it's such a great line. But anyways, that's how I feel about it right now. Lots of other great questions in here. Is anyone getting the new CMFs already? It's not really possible to feel for them with the current situation. Ben, yeah, I have not ordered any myself. You know, if you order like a bunch of them online, you know, you don't know what you're getting. And then do you return them? That's a whole sticky situation in itself. I haven't gotten any yet, really, for that reason, because I want to be more sure of what I want to get, not just, really going for it there. So LEGO stores in the past have been pretty lenient in terms of letting you feel for the particular figs and them helping you. So with what's going on right now, yeah, you obviously don't want to do that. So I haven't gotten any. I don't think any of you guys in here have. You're not really minifig guys, right?
No, I have not gotten any of those.
Yeah, none of the new CMFs. I usually try and pick up just a few that I like from each series, but
yeah.
I feel bad because we had Mike create like a really fantastic field guide video for all of them, and then no one was allowed to go out and do that.
Yeah. You could, in theory, buy like 100 of them and then return them, and but that's a pain.
That is.
But yeah, check out Mike's video if you want to see more about each minifig, as well as a field guide in the event that you do have the opportunity to do that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's still a great video. Like, go obviously check it out. A lot of effort went into it, but eventually, when we're able to pop back into stores and hopefully be able to feel for them, that'll be a useful information to have. And they're cool figures too. They're great.
Constable Dickies is heading out. He says he hopes bricks at PAX becomes a thing.
Kevin will be in touch. We'll talk. Thank you for tuning in, man. Let's see, anything else in here?
Ben says he loves Mike's field guide. So yeah, thank you. We appreciate that. Mike is our collectible minifigure expert. If you also need to check out the video from him and Brian's trip to Toronto when he went head to head with Just Too Good. That was also very entertaining.
I love that whole thing was so great, man. That trip in general, and then having me and the whole donut thing. I still get people talking about that pop into my streams like, wait, do you really like think about eating that donut beforehand? I'm like, no, I just grabbed it. I offered it to him. So, hey, that was a good trip though.
Yes.
Leading up to it too is really sporadic because like it was under like 2 weeks for me to like be able to go there. And plot twist, it takes minimum 2 weeks to get your passport. So I need to get my passport. I literally like parked and went down into Boston, took the train, and I'm in this federal building. Everyone's looking at me like, I'm crazy. So it was that was a whole excursion. So thank you for allowing me to go and do that. And hopefully the content was good enough that everyone enjoyed it. So I think it went well.
No, thank you for doing it. I'm glad you could get the passport thing figured out. You didn't have to have Nick sneak you across the border up there.
No, not that one.
Josh, are you implying that I sneak people across the border? I'm too polite of a Canadian to do that. Come on. Hey.
It's actually funny. Just over the last week, I actually just started playing the LEGO Legacy game for the first time. Brian, I don't know. Have you tried it since you actually went there to the event?
So they said that they were going to send me a code like months ago and they didn't. And so I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I haven't had a chance to download it yet. I've thought about doing videos on my channel for it, but we'll see. I'm not too big into mobile games, but obviously that one I'm willing to give a shot and see what it's like and talk about my experience, being there and like see the insights on the game. But it looks fun that they're paying, homage to classic LEGO sets and doing that. So I guess. I've
enjoyed it. I never really play mobile games either, but I think there's a lot of great like good in jokes about different Lego minifigures in there, and that a lot of Lego fans can appreciate. So yeah, I've it's been nice to pass the time a bit here while in quarantine.
Totally. I had a mental block because I'm like, wait, where did I record that part where I'm like in a house, or it was the Airbnb with Mike and all that?
This is you. Yeah. So people who didn't see our videos, this is Mike and Brian going to the it was the Gameloft headquarters, right, in Toronto.
Yep. Yeah. And it was not like in the utmost like city part of Toronto, but like the view was like incredible. I'm like, man, I'm living large today. Nice. In the Airbnb. And there was like actually a football / soccer stadium like right outside the window. So like all night before like Mike showed up, I was just on the balcony, just like listening to the fans cheer for whatever teams it was. I don't know. And it was just very like movie-esque. It was very cool. Very, very happy I got to do that. So yes, thank you again.
That's great. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm glad it worked out.
Totally.
I have to. I actually got to go on a little tour of the Gameloft studios for Lego Legacy with Graham. We had that kind of tied into Bricks in the Six. So it's a really awesome studio. Everyone over there is really, really fantastic. I'm actually a little overdue for. I think I see it in the background of yours, Josh. You have like the Lego Legacies box.
Yes.
So one of those that I just got a little while ago. Yeah. That I'm going to be doing on stream soon. And I'm looking forward to the build in there and then checking out the game as well.
Not
Sounds
sponsored.
good.
Hashtag not sponsored.
It was not. It was not. They were just very kind enough to. I think they had said they had some extras, and because I was local and got to go see it, they were like, "We'd love to send you one." So
it's cool.
Yeah,
it's good stuff there.
Was that Oh, sorry. Real quick, was that the first partnership between Gameloft and Lego for that game, or had Gameloft done other stuff with them?
They're working on a Disney game too that I'm not too familiar with. So like it's literally half the office is all Disney, half the office is all Lego. Mm-hmm. Like there's a very fine line separated by like, you know, the offices where we were for talking and whatnot. But they had, like you're seeing here, all the sets that are on display. Somebody had a shiny Rayquaza build on their desk. I think it was highlighted in one of these videos. I was like, man, that's really cool. So they really got into it with the Lego partnership, and they were working on things that weren't in the game yet. And, you know, it was all like I had imagined it being for a game studio. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Look at that. Great setup.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was such a fun time. And it makes me envious to travel more often soon, or, you know, hopefully soon, eventually, all the different shows and whatnot. But yeah, fun time.
Kirk, we got a question in the chat for you on what you're building. So before we head out here in a few minutes, any updates?
No, because I'm still trying to work on this technique for the grate like railing on the floor. So that's like something that another thing I'll point out when it comes to making MOCs. There's a lot of trial and error. It takes time when you're doing it. You have to have a lot of patience to build MOCs. But eventually you'll come up with something, which is what I'm hoping to do, because the goal is not to make it too big, because due to that's also another thing. Parts usage and just like the amount of parts you have, again, with using what you have, you have to kind of rescale stuff, which is what I'm trying to do here. But in terms of what I'm building, which I think I didn't answer that question, I'm working on the corridor scene from the first Alien movie from 1979. So I have the Ripley figure that's from Minifigs.me, and then I have the custom flamethrower that I designed a while ago. So that's what I'm working on.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I do just want to say, I think that's another really great call of vision. Like being patient with yourself. I definitely go through tons of trial and error. That's actually a little bit of a running joke in my stream. I like to throw out time estimates of how long a build's going to take me. I don't know why I do that, because I'm always wrong. Often will go back and readjust things that I thought I was happy with way after the fact.
Yeah.
And then just, scaling your builds to what you have available. I honestly, a lot of the times, I think I actually find myself being a lot more appreciative of small, detailed builds rather than large, simplistic ones. So don't be afraid to, just because a build's small does not mean it can't be amazing. So you'll be
exactly like a lot of the stuff that I've built it tends to be what's it called? Tends to be like along the vignette scale or slightly larger. But I always try to make sure I can pack as much detail into it to make it as accurate as possible to what you would see like on screen. For example, what was the last thing I built just here the other day? Well, a few months ago, actually. But I built the scene from Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie from Sam Raimi, which is where Green Goblin was getting attacked by the glider. So I tried to make it as accurate as possible to both that scene, but also taking inspiration from the comic book sequence, which is what that scene was inspired off of. So certain things like the floorboard, there's a section where I use, for example, these 1x4 tiles in reddish brown, and I had them in between the plates and then covered it up with the other 1x4 tiles so that it would be able to show like how the floorboard is broken and you can see the inside of it. So it's just certain stuff like that to figure out, like I said earlier in the stream, seeing how you can use certain parts to create certain details that will just kind of bring the build to life and make it as accurate as possible to the real thing.
Pro tips there. Check out Vision Bricks online for more.
Definitely do it up. Definitely do it up.
Check out everyone that's been in the stream. This is all quality content all across the board.
Yes,
all right.
absolutely.
If you're not in on any of these channels, any of these social medias, you're doing yourself a disservice. So make sure you hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, the etc. Just do it all of it. Go for it.
That's right. Since we are wrapping up here, Nick, you can remind everyone where to find your stuff online. So I hope everyone has enjoyed getting all the insight from Nick on Twitch streaming and everything else that he does. I know I have learned a tremendous amount, and I think I understand Twitch better now. So this has been good.
That's a big one. That's a big one. I love to hear it. My name's right there on screen. I know you guys have been so kind to have the link there as well. I'm literally on every single platform you can probably imagine with that name. So just BRICKIN Nick. So it's pretty easy to find me wherever you may be interested. And just I hope you see it come by. Maybe throw some ideas in the chat for some of our builds. Again, tonight we're doing viewer build requests. So awesome opportunity for me to build something that you want to see come to life. So I hope you'll come by and enjoy some LEGO building fun with me.
That's right. Check it out tonight. And then Brian, where can everybody find you? And what is the exclusive sneak peek of what game you're playing this Thursday on Beyond the Break?
You can find me outside of your local McDonald's eating a McDouble. But if you want to see me play video games, you can go to twitch.tv/BricksO'Brien. It's all one, not with the apostrophes and stuff there. In terms of what LEGO game I'm playing this Thursday, not a clue. No idea. So I'm going to figure it out. And if anyone has great suggestions, leave a comment or something. Let me know. I just finished up LEGO Star Wars: A Complete Saga, so probably want to shift to something else, not Star Wars, just to keep it spicy. So if you have any requests or suggestions, I'm open to them. But I got until Thursday to figure it out. So here's hoping for the best.
Sounds good. Yeah. So 1 p.m. Eastern time, just the same time we start these Tuesday streams. Brian is live on Thursdays here on the channel, gaming and streaming LEGO games. So make sure to check that out. It's very entertaining, and I'm always surprised at how good you are at the game while also keeping an eye on the chat, because I definitely could not do that.
Those LEGO games are tough, man. I've done speed runs of some crazy games in my lifetime, but man, LEGO Star Wars: A Complete Saga. Tough.
And then Vision, how about you?
You can find me via YouTube, which would be youtube.com/visionbricks, or Instagram, which would be instagram.com/visionbricksyt. That's about it. I would mention the Twitter, but I'm not really as active on there. So you'll mainly find my work via YouTube or Instagram. That's about it.
Sounds good. And we want to mention one more time Nick's current ideas project. So we talk about the Tesla truck, which got to 10,000, but he's got one you can vote for right now. So go do that. Head on over after the stream ends here. Vote for his Winnie the Pooh and Tigger ideas project, and you can help him have another successful ideas project over there with that great build. Yes. So thank you, Nick, so much for spending so much time with us today. This has been really great. I think it's been a fantastic stream. I appreciate it.
I have had so much fun here. I could not think of a better way to spend my Tuesday afternoon. So thank you so much for having me. And honestly, if you'll have me for more pop-in appearances, I would be happy to join as well. So don't be afraid to.
Let's not get too don't get too ahead of yourself. There's YouTube, there's Twitch, separate. We'll see. We'll see.
Look, I'll be on the brick shirt, and then they'll have no choice but to say,
There we go. Right. As long as you can, bleed a little purple over this way,
I'll do the combo. I'll get the red shirt underneath, and then we'll have the best of both worlds.
There it is. Perfect.
Brian's very insecure about his position here, and so he's just worried that if we bring you back.
Listen, I'm doing tremendous. All right.
That top right corner's looking real tempting, though.
Hey, listen, I got all the knickknacks back here. I got Kirby. I got a Star Destroyer I don't want. I got a bunch of stuff going on here. All right. I'm bringing the hype and the heat as much as I can. But, JP Overton just said, wait, is the stream over? Yeah, it is.
Yes. And Nick has brought out the hammer to end the stream.
There it is.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Nick, and everyone who joined us in the stream here. And we'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.
Thanks for hanging out. You guys are amazing.